This is open for members of the public to address the board for up to 3 minutes on topics about the current agenda tonight. There'll be a second opportunity to speak to the board about other township issues at the end of the meeting with an additional 3 minutes for anybody who would like it. Are there any folks in the public who would like to speak to the board tonight? Looks like the answer to that is no. Next up is items from county, state, federal, and other agencies. I saw our county commissioner sneak in the back of the room. Dwight, do you want to share with us tonight? Welcome. It's good to see you.
Dwight Washington, Park Lake Road County Commissioner, representing Bath. And there's a lot that's happened, but things move very slow in county government. But there's 3 topics, or actually 4 topics that I just want to bring to your attention to let you know that conversation is continuing and that while no decisions have been made, people are being informed and there's an opportunity for discussion and input. And the first one I want to say is that we do have there's been discussion from planning and zoning as to how the county and the townships would like to carry forward that relationship, and through discussions, issues that are arriving, that it looks as if we're going to be able to pick and choose the best parts of both sides and move forward with something that's going to make the more populated and the more less populated areas feel as if hopefully there's a win-win, but there might feel like there's a lose-lose. But I think that the way that things are looking out, that it's looking more that we're going to have win-win solutions. So on the 12th, there's going to be a discussion with the Board of Commissioners that is always available on YouTube for people to watch and to see and to provide comment at Board of Commissioners would be the best place to do that. The other
Wait,
thing,
is there a proposal or something that we could see before then?
No, there's not a proposal because
Okay.
it's just kind of been a discussion, and,
Okay.
there was a call to the townships, and Bath did have some representation there, and there seems to be like a unanimous sentiment among the townships about concern of keeping order instead of losing control, but also primarily, how do we afford to keep this running?
Yes, we've been at a couple of meetings where they've been very interested that Democrats are going to move north and take over their planning, so they've made that pretty clear.
There's a lot of ideas out there. That's one that's been pushed.
It's the only one that I've heard.
there are other ones as well.
When these calls to the township occur, how do they happen, or how would we get one?
Through the administration.
Okay.
We've never met the administration, Dwight. I mean that in a very literal way. We've never met
I'm just
whatever
trying to
his
see
name is.
John
John, yeah.
Fuentes.
He's
yes.
never been here. He's never, it'd be great to have him come to a meeting.
I'll pass that along.
We've also not received a phone call regarding planning.
You've met him though, right, Karen?
I have met with him
Yeah.
on separate
Okay.
issues, but not.
But you
we have
met
not-
him is what I meant.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
But I have not received any information about these meetings other than from Dwight or that you've received from the Clinton County.
Township officers,
Township
yeah.
officers that you belong to.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No
I just,
worries.
it'd be nice to have something for us to respond to.
Well, there was representation from Bath. I want to, since Bath does its own planning and zoning, that it's created a little bit of a difference in terms of how that discussion went. And I would imagine if that could be the primary reason why you didn't get that direct invitation.
Who's been representing us,
Who's
Karen?
been representing us?
Miles.
I wouldn't characterize it like that. There was a meeting that took place at a township office on a weekend where there was a broad discussion about the county. I didn't represent the township. I actually said that I was speaking as an individual. Not representing the township, giving my professional opinion about planning and zoning. So in no way did I represent the township. In no way was this also a meeting organized by the county. It was organized by a group of citizens.
Oh.
Unfortunately, Beth Butler-Challender was the person who was represented it, and I thought that it was kind of coordinated with the township. And again,
Okay.
her comments were well received. But
I read the,
On the planning commission?
yeah, zoning and planning, I read their,
Oh, the county.
yeah,
Oh.
So our assessor was
I read their
there.
minutes.
This was a separate meeting at
This was, yeah, not the one that Miles is referring to, which,
Okay.
Okay. Miles, you are our planner. It's okay if you represent us.
No, it's all good, I just want to clarify who was at what meeting.
I know, I just want to make sure you know it's okay. It's okay.
So our assessor was there, not our planner.
We're gonna give you a badge, Miles.
and again, her presence and comments were well appreciated, and so I hope that I can get that to John Fuentes and make sure that that connection is more formally established.
And who's he?
John Fuentes would be the county
Yeah, I
administrator.
was just making sure because I don't know him.
The other thing that's important to take note of is that Ms. Sutherland, our clerk, has no longer, or she's resigning, and it's been approved by the judges so that Stephanie Dush will take that on. And Stephanie has been working in the offices and knows how the system works, so we feel comfortable and confident that there'll be a smooth transition as we go into the upcoming election. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that in the past I brought to you discussions about a jail, and other than the traditional or the regular duties of the county commissioners and the board, the jail is one that periodically comes up, and while it's very expensive, and to realize that putting that on the taxpayers would be something that nobody would be happy with. There's a lot of pushback in terms of looking at how can we get this jail up to standards without having to spend that amount of much money. And that is a really tedious and challenging discussion to take place that really is moving slowly. But those conversations have been brought up again, and we'll, continue to report as to how that develops. And then the last thing I would like to say is that on the 14th, there's going to be a Clinton Lakes forum where some of the smaller lakes in Clinton County are banding together, and they're beginning to discuss small lake issues. And the Friends of Park Lake are aware of this, and I know there's a number of other groups in Bath that are stakeholders in lakes and are very passionate about the lakes. I just wanted to put out that there is a chance for us to collaborate and discuss with other townships and municipalities the value of lakes, and I think that all the work that we've done here in Bath could provide some leadership and position us well to get some more support for Park Lake from the county. And that would be my report for today.
Thank you. Questions?
All right, well, thank you. Good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dwight. Good to see you. That brings us to item 7, consent agenda. Would anyone like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Hearing none, would anyone like to put forward a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as submitted.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Because it's a consent agenda, we do not have discussion, but we will take a roll call vote. Madam Deputy Clerk.
Trustee Rosekrans,
Yes.
Treasurer Wilson,
Yes.
Trustee Kotke,
Yes.
Trustee Kellerman,
Yes.
Trustee Hagerman,
Yes.
Supervisor Fewins-Bliss.
Yes. That motion carries. Thank you. Item 8 is the approval of minutes. We have minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting of February 17th, 2026. Are there any thoughts, considerations, discussion, or motions about the minutes? Excuse me.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
Second? Al?
That was Al. Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion about the minutes? Hearing none, we'll take a voice vote. All those in favor of approval of the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting of February 17th, 2026, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Item 9 is approval of vouchers. Hopefully you all got a chance to look at and sign off on the vouchers in the office. If you have not done that, please do so before leaving. Is there any questions, comments, thoughts, discussion, or motions around the vouchers tonight? Shall we pay our bills this week?
I'll make the motion to accept the vouchers as submitted.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. I keep waiting for April the 2nd. You can't do that.
Nope, I sure
Yeah,
can't.
because it's usually Brenda.
I know. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the vouchers as presented. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll take another roll call vote.
Treasurer Wilson,
Yes.
Supervisor Fewins-Bliss.
Yes.
Trustee Kotke,
Yes.
Trustee Kellerman,
Yes.
Trustee Hagerman,
Yes.
Trustee Rosekrans.
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you. Item 10 is the treasurer's report. Our next report's going to be given on April 6th.
That's pushing it, because I may not have a statement on our T-bills, just to let you know, because it was originally the 21st or 20th,
And now we're meeting on the 27th.
and I won't be here. But
And
it
you
could
won't be
be
here.
in there, I just won't be here to answer any questions. Otherwise, it won't be until May.
All right. Do you want to work that out with Karen and then the
It
next
just
agenda?
depends on if I
we'll-
get the statement, because that one is not electronic, it always comes in the mail.
Can't you just wing it?
It's $1 million, do you want me to just wing it?
We can work it out.
That's
So,
fair.
just so you know, you guys changed that date, and I just noticed.
All right, well noted. No committee appointments tonight and no committee reports. That leaves us with number 13, unfinished business. Items for introduction and discussion. We have the strategic plan by Trustee Kotke.
Yes. As noted by my name on the agenda. The strategic plan implementation. We spent a lot of money and a lot of time formulating a strategic plan, and like I said last week, or last meeting, the first quarter's almost over, and we literally haven't even opened a page of it. So I thought it prudent that we at least have a discussion about how we should start, and when and where.
Are there certain objects?
Or should we?
Well, are there certain goals that in the strategic plan you wanna start with? Because I know that Karen and Taylor are already doing.
They are.
The things that are asked of them. So I guess there are certain things that we, as a board, can't even vote on or do because we still need to do our revenue. Because we can't hire any new people until we deal with our revenue.
Are you saying we can't read this? Is that what
You
you're saying?
can, you can read it, I read it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can implement it. What parts of our strategic plan are you gonna implement? That's,
All of those things that we talked about in all those 8-hour-long meetings we were in.
and we have started some of it.
Okay. Can you list them?
Karen?
I can tell you that we have completed the fire assessment. We cannot move to complete the police assessment at this time because we do not have enough employees. We currently have our chief is working the road at times because we have people hurt and we have people that are out, and I cannot throw an assessment on a department that's already sinking and trying to stay afloat. And they're doing the best they can, and I think they're doing a great job. In terms of the facilities and grounds assessment, we have put together an RFP, a draft, and we're getting ready to circulate that. We're also working on an RFP for auditors, which is unrelated to the strategic plan. I think there is some hiring in terms of economic development that we would need, that we cannot do without additional funding, which I am working on, economic development with the planner and then as well as the building department, which it ties into that department, so we'll continue to work on that. I can't recall what else is in there, but I know the planning commission did at their last meeting was working on assessing economic development in the township for their comprehensive plan. So I think that works into the plan as well, because economic development was an area. And then I think the Park Lake corridor, that issue, we're receiving some grant funding from the state, so we'll be working through that over the next couple of years.
What grant?
I informed this body, I think more than a month ago, that we received some money to put some pathways around the north side of Park Lake, along Park Lake Road, to make that corridor safer. So I think, yeah, so I know in terms of that. So we are making progress, and that probably hasn't been reported out, but I know I haven't spoken to all the areas that were identified, but those are the major areas that we've been working on.
Yeah, I'm not putting you on the spot, I'm sorry, if that was the implication. In fact, maybe you could just put a list together and a checklist, that things that were stipulated in here that, and I saw there was a lot.
I think the supervisors also indicated that we need to make some changes to our agendas and our board rules of order before we change the agenda, because there's additional changes to the agenda that are needed as well. So I think there's been forward motion, but maybe not a concerted effort at this level of the board to discuss it at an ongoing basis.
Coordinated effort is, and I just think that, if we spent so much time and effort to create one, let's try to use it to our advantage.
But also not just me. I mean, there's discussions certainly that this group can have,
Oh,
but.
heavens, yes. Is that it?
It's your topic, is that it?
Well,
Let me ask you, is that it?
I'm not the expert here. I just suggested, hell, we've got a strategic plan that we've never had before, and it has outlines for various things to tackle, and we haven't really addressed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an operational plan. I see.
It
It's not-
has some operation.
It does, but those operations go to the operational folks. So I think
Oh,
that's
heavens,
why our
yes.
operational folks are saying, here's where we're at. So we've got priority goal 1, priority goal 2, priority goal 3, and priority goal 4 with, 5. And then there's 3 to 5 year objectives. So it does make sense that we should track those things, and maybe there's
Right.
some sort of tool we, probably the staff come up with to track that. Is that the type of thinking? Is
Yeah.
that what you're going for?
Just some coordination and, the ability to check things off and see where we need more work and things of that nature.
Yeah, and I think
Says-
it's helpful that perhaps when Karen reports out some of these things, she's not saying, reminder, this is from the strategic plan, even though it is from the strategic plan. So we can probably be better about remembering what's in the strategic plan, and Karen could probably be better about saying this directly is from the
Well,
strategic plan.
In that, I was hoping we could talk about it every meeting, then she could do that.
We're going
or
to,
if
we
she
just
hasn't.
have to change the darn agenda. And
Yeah.
I know it feels like it's an easy thing to
Is
do.
that just lifting
It's
the
not.
pen, or is it, what do you gotta do?
We have to change the board rule.
And how do we do that?
We have to review the board rules, but it takes people in this room time, including our attorney, me, Karen. So we're trying to do this like one thing at a time. So tonight it's like the art stuff, right? Next time it could be the board rules. I promise you we're not stalling on it.
Oh,
It's
I
just
just-
a matter of like managing the onslaught of things.
None
We're
of
gonna
us
hear
have-
about the committee's issues, right?
None of
Like-
us have ever done this, so.
No, and I don't mean to sound defensive. It's moving slower than I would like to move, but it's only a piece of what each of our staff are doing. And so,
Oh, very much so. Yep.
having served on this board for a while, and Al, you certainly have served on the board for a while as well, the amount of change and action that we're taking, even though it feels slow, I've never seen us take it before. It's huge. It's transformative. Which is good, which is
That's
what I
good.
want to be
Yeah,
part
that's
of,
what I
yes. But I think we have to be able to manage it so our staff doesn't murder us.
Well, I agree. So what do you think about that, Karen? Just,
I'm certainly.
I noted that last meeting, you even reported on several things that were
Yeah.
on there.
So I think there's a way in which that we, Ryan and I have committed getting back to the board rules. That process started under a previous board, some of you were not part of. And I think that we need to go back and revisit that process because a lot of changes were, including my recommended changes, were thrown into a group and then kind of tossed like a salad. And we need to get back to what I think this group finds important and make only those changes that are needed, so.
No focus.
And focus that, and then there's a world in which, my reporting schedule that I put together for the departments, comes back and plays into that, and then I think there's a role for the strategic planning and for those areas where I need more from the board, in order to direct staff, where we can come back and visit those things too. So I think there's a more formal process, there to be had, and I'm completely willing to walk through that process with you all. I think the amount of changes, and I'll just be honest, we have a couple of staffing changes in the office. We have a retirement that we're planning for, and right now recruitment of filling those positions are gonna take priority. There's staffing issues at the police department. Some of these things, while you may not think impact the work that we do at this level, it really does.
Everything impacts.
So, we're still making changes to our MERS plans, taking that next step so that the employees that are in the DB can transfer into the DC if that's what they so choose to do, take their money into the new plan. So there's still a lot of major implementation changes at the staff level that need to take place. We will have an update tonight at the end of the meeting about the contract for the road patrol unit. We're still in police negotiations, so there's a lot of moving pieces that this board is not seeing that staff is dedicated to. Miles and I are in almost daily communication about Chandler Road. So these things are taking up our time. So it doesn't mean we're not committed to the strategic plan. It just means that we have to dedicate some time to do it and bring those updates up to you guys as a board.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, that's what I kind of thought, should be happening. Sounds like it is, we just don't know about it.
What do you think about the tool to map out the 5 priorities and the tasks associated?
I think we can put something together to show some management of those projects and to map next steps and what that looks like from staff. I think that's a completely realistic next step. Right now it's in my head and we're moving through those pieces, and of course that doesn't translate to you all knowing what's in my head, so.
Well, and it could be the piece that goes in the board packet.
Correct.
Under that topic in the
Correct.
future, once we get that changed.
And I'd be happy to do that. Right now, for me, and some of it may be that I work through some of these things with you, Mr. Chair, is just that we're working on that. We're working on the revenue side of this too. So we'll need to understand like how that looks for all of you, how that is communicated to all of you each time, and what takes priority over the other.
Yeah.
Because right now, revenue, not that the strategic plan isn't important, but the revenue feels dire, important, strategic, like, we need to focus on that, because there's deadlines with elections and things that can't be missed, or we miss the boat in a big way, so.
I just look at the strategic plan as a framework that we can follow, so that we can have, check marks and milestones and things of that nature.
Yeah, I totally agree. Kate, did I cut you off?
No, I kind of discussed what I was gonna say anyway. I was just gonna ask Ray to maybe clarify what this would look like to him, because I feel like you have an idea in your head of how you think this should go, but I'm not sure if the rest of us are totally certain, like, we're on the same page with
Well,
what that idea is.
That was why I wanted to have this discussion.
I don't want to, no offense to the people at the Cal City City Managers Conference, but I didn't really understand how this packet was supposed to clarify that.
Packet. You mean this
This thing
handout?
that you sent us?
Well, I threw this together over the weekend just because I noticed that we needed a little structure to at least know what we're going to talk about. So I didn't expect, I guess I was looking forward to everyone looking over it.
Well, I did look over it. I just still wasn't sure what you were hoping we would get, like what direction you were hoping we would go. So that's just what I was asking, is a little
Ideally forward is the
clarification.
direction I always look for.
I think she's asking what that looks like.
Yeah, like you want it
like
as
a
an
tangent.
agenda.
I don't know, and that's
You
why
want
I'm
it as an
asking you
agenda
guys.
item, but what would it look like in the meeting when we get to that agenda item? Like, how do you see it playing out?
Just picking at one meeting, maybe picking a goal in here and possibly finding out, how have we achieved that, or how have we not achieved it, and how can we achieve it, all of those things,
Okay.
and whether or not they're even important to us. Maybe we want to skip one and go to the next one. This was flying by the seat of my pants right here. I just did a lot of Googling and a lot of looking to get this. And this, the last page, the last paragraph, getting started. That's about all you can look at. And I'm sorry, you people probably don't have a copy of it to look at. Right at the last sentence. the last sentence of this entire document. Implementation isn't about the document you produce, it's about the culture of accountability you build around it. And I guess that's what I'm looking for, is accountability, myself included.
Well, part of the problem is we don't have the money to start anything new yet. We're short on money. We've been short for a few years and running off the budget of the money we had in the bank, and that isn't a good thing.
No, I realize that, but I would say at least for the last, I'll say 20 years, that exact verbatim statement has been stated by this group over and over and over and over again. In fact, Jack Phillips used to say, oh, we just don't have the money. We just don't have the money. That's
What
just,
don't you understand about not having the money?
well, it's a fact, and you never will have all the money you want. But that doesn't mean we don't need to do anything and just sit on our hands. You know, I don't feel worth, I don't feel like I have a worth if we're not achieving anything. If we're just, you know, flying by the seat of our pants and okaying vouchers every month. We're not accomplishing anything.
I think we've accomplished a lot in the last 10
Well, I
years.
say we're not accomplishing, we are accomplishing a lot. But, anyway, I hope you understand what I'm saying, and I guess flat out what I'm saying is, what in the heck did we spend the money to get a strategic plan for, if we're not going to at least look at it for some kind of guidance and direction? Maybe doing this will help us find ways to get more revenue. Maybe it'll find ways to streamline. You just don't know until you try it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think it's a list of tasks that the staff is mostly undertaking. You're right, not
Yes.
all of it, and Karen's given us some feedback on some of why some of it isn't moving forward. I don't know that it's gonna be the answer to all things, but we do have the revenue conversation that we are going
Well,
to continue.
that's the next thing on the agenda, which is
Yeah.
every bit as important. We just have to learn how to multitask a little bit better, I guess.
We are, we are multitasking.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm
I'm
not
not talking
saying.
about you at
No,
all.
I'm not saying that, but it's a staff function, and I'm telling you, like, we are working on so much more than just the strategic plan. So I'm saying to you, like, and that is not I hope that doesn't sound defensive, it's just we are working on more than we've ever worked on. Like, we're producing so much more. So I just want you to know that if you don't feel like you're seeing a lot of work in that area, there's a lot of work still being conducted. It just
Well-
might not be directly to those points
And I speak for myself.
at every
only.
meeting.
I don't know. I'm just ignorant of, you know, what milestones have we achieved, you know?
Yeah.
If you could just put something together that we could, hey, look at this.
But I give you those pieces when I give you my quarterly updates. I give you those pieces when I give my superintendent's report. I give you those pieces when I email you guys. It all comes together to fit into that. So it's, for me, it is, almost everything I say at this meeting is what staff and I are doing. So, and it's not just that.
Understand, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, the auditors, or the accountants are here this week, we're preparing for our audit, like, that takes up an entire week.
Week, I was just gonna say more than a day, for
They're
sure.
here all
Yeah,
week.
they're all here, they're here all week, so it's constant, and it's, I would argue that even this weekend was filled with lots of things, so.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got some tangible actions to take based on that conversation.
Thank you, I do appreciate the input, and I appreciate hearing, the board members'
Yeah.
comments around it.
We just don't know.
It is helpful.
You know, we just don't know where you're at and yes, you do report, definitely, but, if we're not good writers, or if we don't go back and listen to everything, then we might forget, you know, all of that.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Well, on that same train of thought, there's the revenue options conversation. Again, we agreed that step one to the revenue options was going to be looking to see if our charter operating millage is based on the correct number, since it appears to be off. So I've asked Superintendent to give us a report on that task, and then as that task comes to conclusion, hopefully that information will help lead us to what the next task is.
So staff is aware of the need to go back and look. It's going to be some follow-up meetings to determine how we find all those records back to the 1970s, because they're were not readily kept. When our clerk passed away, when our treasurer left, a lot of the documents went to the basement. I don't even know that all the documents we need are in this building. And it's possible that we may have to do some additional research. So we're going to put our heads together and determine how we can pull that data and get those L4029s. Did your glasses just break?
No.
Oh.
I forget that I wear them
I'm
still.
so sorry.
And I just knock them around.
I'm so sorry.
It's only been 12 months.
I was like, wow, he just, like, something just happened. So it's a matter of us coming together for a follow-up meeting to discuss some of that data. When the clerk and I came here in 2012, record keeping, especially electronic record keeping, was not great. And so obviously stretching back into the late 70s, 80s, 90s is gonna be a challenge to find some of these documents, but we're hoping that we're able to do that, so. Or
Does
at
the
least,
county not keep any of this stuff?
I think Brenda has contacted, equalization, because they have
Yeah.
them, but she's on vacation, so.
I haven't had that follow-up
She'll
conversation
have
with
to
her.
see if it's in her emails when she gets back.
And it's possible it's in intermittent pieces, like it could be in the minutes, it could be just in different
We may have
places,
to go
so.
back and manually look at old minute books, which we've done. for
So
other
we're all
issues,
bringing,
so.
we're all bringing what pieces we know are available to us to the table to see if we can put a complete picture together.
And the county doesn't have any of that information, seems like they would.
So Jennifer just said Brenda had that conversation with them, but she's on vacation, so we haven't had that conversation with Brenda yet to find out what
I heard
equalization.
Brenda had
told her.
information, I didn't hear the other part.
Yep,
She may have the information in her email, she's just on vacation.
yeah. So we'll follow up with her when she's back this week.
Great, look forward to that, since that's the first step and really is the gatekeeper to the rest of our work on revenue this year. How about item C, an update on citizen group applications?
So after the deadline passed for the citizen groups, we currently have 8 applications for our groups, and those are the 3 different groups that we have. The Park Lake Advisory Board has 3 applicants. The Programming Committee has 2, and then Roads have 3. As you'll recall, I had put 5 each on each of those, so we still need some assistance in recruiting some people. And I would ask for your assistance if you have any connections or people you think might be good, or even having conversations with people that were on previously but still haven't applied yet. Because we haven't had all those conversations to know if people intend to come back. We even received one today that said he was very sorry that he hadn't put his in yet for Park Lake, but he was intending to and would drop it off in our Dropbox tonight. So we knew we had that one coming in. So I think people are still catching up. People are determining whether they want to follow through and be part of the new process. But I think we do need some help in recruiting some people. So I will follow up this meeting tonight with an email to you tomorrow, letting you know the positions that we have available. And who some of those people might be. We do know of some changes where people have said they've taken on life changes or job changes and can no longer help us in the way they did before, but we still have some additional people we can follow up with.
Are the committees meeting?
No,
No?
there's,
There are no
There's-
committees.
there's not enough,
Are the groups?
there's just,
There's not enough people.
We
You can't, so
we
until
just
they
got-
get enough people, nothing
correct.
will happen?
No,
So the 2 people who applied won't get any chance to put in and help out?
not at, I
Like,
mean.
who's gonna do bath days if we have nobody on the committee? Bath Fest.
I mean, staff does predominantly a lot of the work for that as well. So we have Sandra next door and Adam Montry, so I think that will continue with their support.
That doesn't make sense to me. So are they on the committee?
No, they weren't. Adam was on
So
the
how is
recreation
Bath Fest
committee.
going to happen if the people who are supposed to be making it happen aren't making it happen.
Sandra was never on, she was on the
No.
committee, but then did Bath Fest, like, on the side. So she's always been, like, they've been identifying things, and then James and Taylor do the contracts for things, and so that planning happens even outside of the committee, the recreation committee, so.
Okay, maybe I just didn't understand then the way that it was presented back at the community meeting. Like what do we call it? The new name for.
Citizen.
Programming committee,
Programming, yeah.
sorry. Like that would be their job is Bath Fest, Farmers Market, community recreation.
So their role within Bath Fest was to remain the same as the recreation committees, which was more to assist with brainstorming. They weren't actually planning the Bath Fest. Bath Fest was being planned by Adam Montry and Sandra McIntosh. They were getting ideas, and the committee was volunteering to assist with events, but they weren't actually planning the actual Bath Fest. They were doing that in conjunction with staff.
So just to be clear, is Bath Fest now a township activity?
Yes,
It was last
has
year.
been,
It was.
as of this.
Well, I'm just wondering if, should staff do that?
They are.
No, I mean the whole thing, like you said, nobody's organizing it or anything like that.
Sandra,
But Adam's not staff. That's
They
what
were,
I'm
they were
just-
brainstorming like ideas for it. So
I
I
just-
don't know if it was like I mean, I wasn't there, so I'll just let
Yeah.
her speak.
Yeah, I didn't know, if we're actively seeking volunteer help to run it. I mean, you should have a chairman or something like she was for how many years?
Too many.
Too many. But anyway, I just think that, you should have a master. Somebody cracking the whip.
yeah, I mean, it's being managed by myself, James, Adam, and Sandra. Adam and Sandra are doing most of the planning. They come to us for approval of what the township needs to approve, creating the documents that have to go out. We handle the money aspect of that since they cannot handle the money. But right now, it's in the very early planning stages. I just got stuff on the website on Friday announcing the dates, so. it's-
Yeah, I just don't know how it, at all, how it's
It's
happening.
managed by staff
Yeah.
with their assistants.
Are they on that, what do we call it, the programming
Well,
citizen group?
Prior, Sandra wasn't allowed to be on that when she became staff, because she works in the police department.
Oh, okay. I didn't know who that was.
Yeah,
so.
so, and then Drew sorry, I was referring to his wife, I'm so sorry. Adam, was the chair of recreation and now is, I think, stepping back from that because of a job change.
Yeah,
But I think is still committed to helping Bath Fest be successful.
oh, okay, cool.
I think what's confusing is,
volunteer.
what is the structure you all want or are going to put into place? I do think it felt like the programming committee was going to be the ones to do that.
Well, I still think they will play a role in the brainstorming and ideas for what it can be, but it's still being executed by staff because there is a financial and contractual obligation that only the township can put itself to without there being a organization that does that.
But where does Adam and Sandra come into it? I think that's what the confusion is. They're not gonna be on the committee, they're not staff in the way that is,
I mean, I don't know that they're
Doing
not
this.
going to be on the committee. I think they're just, I don't know what the status is at this time.
Because we don't have enough people to make a committee yet.
So are they
So
are they working
they're
on Bath
volunteering.
Fest?
Yeah, they are. They're working on Bath Fest right now.
So have they put in an application?
No,
So
But
if
they're
somebody,
volunteering their time.
I
if
guess-
somebody
well,
else
I'm-
wanted to
that's what
work
I'm
on
thinking.
Bath Fest, then they would do what?
put in let us know if they're interested to help with Bath Fest.
Would that be as part of the programming committee?
No.
Or is there a separate Bath Fest box on the application?
I mean, the thing that I think what I heard here was that there's too much, the Bath Fest would be such a narrow focus for that entire group, because you already have senior, you have recreation, and now you have farmer's market. That Bath Fest would be more of a subgroup of that group. Like a subcommittee is what I heard from this group. But,
Ad hoc, maybe.
I mean, it's yearly and it never goes away, so probably
Then it
not
should
ad
be
hoc.
permanent.
But, so I do think it would be, I mean, they could be on that group and be the thing for the citizen. But I think that they're gonna do it whether they are on that committee or not.
Well, I mean, there's no contractual obligation to be part of the programming citizens group, so I'm just wondering, why the heck didn't they just fill out an application if they're gonna volunteer for it?
We can encourage that.
That's, it's weird.
It just seems really nebulous. I don't know, like the subcommittee is operating, but the committee that the subcommittee is housed in is not. It feels weird, like maybe just make it its own thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Simple.
I mean, they're doing it because it can't not be.
And
if
I
it's
feel
gonna
bad
occur.
for the people
Correct.
who have applied and now they don't have anything to do because they haven't been able to get enough other people to apply. Like if they're not an official committee, do they really need a quorum? Could they meet with just 2 people? Or 4 people or whatever it
Wasn't that one
was?
of the parameters? They didn't have to have a quorum?
I mean, are we not gonna take road advice if we don't have enough people? I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a good way to get more people to volunteer. If the people who have volunteered don't have the chance to really volunteer.
We're doing the best we can with what the board gave us, and we will try to find a way to have those people assist us. Our desire is not to turn people away, it is to make their volunteerism for the community valuable and appreciated. And to be honest with you, we had not considered, I just came here tonight with the hope that you all would help us recruit more people to get us where we need to be, but we can certainly find a way for these people to help us. But in the past, and maybe this is my fault for it being tied so much to how it used to be, is that without a complete group of people, I wasn't ready to take it forward, and maybe I was looking at it in the wrong manner, and that we should call upon these people to help us, even if there isn't a full group of people yet.
If you give me a list of who has applied for Park Lake, I'd be happy to help.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate
Yep.
that.
Are you looking for direction from this group? Because the citizen groups have been purposefully shifted under you, and that is where I think or at least we, maybe I shouldn't speak for all of you, but are feeling a hesitancy to give you direction, right? Because the direction was like, this is yours, and we shouldn't give you direction. But tonight it does feel like you're sort of like looking for direction from us.
Because it's incomplete and we don't, I think I'm surprised by the lack of interest. I
Yeah.
thought there would be more interest, and I don't know what to read into that. So what I thought about that I needed help with was additional people. So I don't mean to be frustrated, I don't mean to be defensive, I'm frustrated right now, and I don't think I'm prepared to have this conversation, because the conversation I was prepared to have was, help me find additional people. And instead I feel like, why aren't we, and I hadn't thought that through, because for me, I was looking for complete groups of people to assist us. And I didn't think about it being a fractional group of people to help us. I was looking for more before I put them together, because it feels like if I set a couple of people on a mission for something without the rest of the people, and then when the rest of the people get here and we go in a different direction, I just don't know how that feels or how it works, and it's still new, so I'm having difficulty processing this.
Yeah, I think my thought was, these folks are advisory. So they're not gonna be voting on things, so
Correct.
there's no such thing as quorum. You know, 2 does feel like a low number, especially for the programming committee that probably needs 10. But it does seem like they could be providing advice, because ultimately, where I think we're running into is like this thought that these groups are gonna do projects, and I just don't think that's the vision, right? That's not, that's not how we get things done at the township. Staff have to do that, just as you're describing with contracts and other things. You know, in my mind, I keep thinking of focus groups. It's not exactly what they are, but, you know, giving feedback, bringing ideas, like, we could do these 10 things for Bath Fest, like, help us rank them or something.
Yeah.
It less like, they're taking on something and it's moving as a, you know, evolving idea, and more like giving advice to the staff who's actually gonna do the work.
Yeah.
That's just how I have pictured it.
I
I think
think
we're all picturing it probably a little bit differently.
I just
But I
think
think
it's
you
been
have to
difficult.
have the ability to like move.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna be stuck. And then I think you put yourself in a position of criticism for those that did not like this change to come back and say like, see, it
And I
didn't
think
work.
that's fair. To be honest with you, I've not been involved in this process. The process to gather people just closed, 2 days ago, or I don't even know what the date, it's not the 30th of February, it was the 28th, so.
For the applications.
Yeah, I mean, it just closed, so, no,
I would
please.
say closed, because we're
Well,
still accepting
yeah.
them, we were just requesting to receive them
By the
by
30
the end of
the month.
February.
Yes.
So that we could start meeting, but people can still continue submitting.
So I don't mean to say closed, I'm sorry for that language, but for me, like, we had set that deadline of, we were hoping to have the people, and then to find that we had 8 people instead of 15 to 20, that just occurred. So for me, it's like, here's where we're at, I'm letting you know where I'm at, and then I'm hearing the feedback of integrate these people into the fold and put them to work, and I think that's a great idea. But the fact remains that we still need additional people.
So would you like feedback tonight other than what we've given you, or would you like more time to come back to us and say like, here's the plan?
I think that staff and I need to regroup, because honestly, other than I'm saying the deadline passing, and that's not a true statement, other than the end of the month deadline that we kind of put out for first call, staff and I have not spoken about it. I wanted to come here and share that with you all, and then ask for your assistance in helping us garner more interest. So I think staff needs a little bit of time to come back.
I just, the 2 non-statutory groups, committees that I was formerly on, there's just a lot of resentment about the change. They don't like change, you know, that's what it is.
Well, the board, I mean, it was part of our strategic planning process.
Right.
The
No,
board,
we
the
did
board
it, you
made
know.
that decision, and I would say with a lot of thought and discussion. And I'm sorry they feel that way. I mean, I understand they don't like it, and I understand that they're entitled to feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, you know, thought maybe I'm sure you already knew that, but
I do.
yeah, that's what everybody's been saying to me. I say everybody, that's what several people have said to me.
Unfortunately, that is how some issues go. This board votes and staff, you know,
Yep.
takes that direction and has to implement it. It's kind of the world I work in, and the world I work in says that if I can't implement that change, then I need to find another job. So for me, I can, you know, rally around this and try to implement it. I need help with interest,
Yeah.
because 8 applications is not the amount I thought we would have at this
Yeah,
point.
well, you know as well as I do, if something doesn't work, no amount of pushing is gonna make it work.
Correct,
So,
and that may be the case.
yeah, maybe we just need to do something else, but anyway, I hear you.
Well, it's frustrating, Ray, that
Ding, ding,
these,
ding, ding.
I know, just, I want to respond to what Ray is saying. These folks, that one of the major criticisms was we're shutting people out of feedback. And then when the opportunity to sign up to give feedback is given, it's a complaint that they don't like the new way. Well, now we're not gonna get feedback because they're choosing not to engage. It's sort of like a catch-22. They're gonna be right in the long run, but they're gonna be right because they're just refusing to engage. I'm not saying that it's not you who's doing it, I'm just saying it out loud that that's a frustration, that there is an opportunity to give feedback and participate, and if people don't choose to take it, then it
Yeah.
becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, each committee had a chair, you know, that oversaw everything and came up with, you know, various things, like Dan, you know, wrote the annual report and all of that.
Yeah.
And, that's just for lack of a better term, I say resentment, you know?
But all they did was complain that they didn't get to do anything. So, we could reverse it back to but they were not happy with that either.
Don't we
so-
call that a dichotomy?
I don't know what we call it. I'm sorry, Al, go ahead.
And he's trying to move.
There's 3 that have applied for the road group. And then you got Kellerman and you got myself. That gives us 5. That's enough for a quorum.
But you don't need a quorum.
Board members can't be on these committees.
Yeah, and board members can't be on
Can't
the
be on the
committee.
When did we just start that?
No,
Yeah.
that was part of it.
That was part
That
of
was
this.
part of it?
Yes.
Oh, so I don't have to come to the road committee meeting?
No, Al, you don't.
No, there's gonna be,
I mean,
You got her, John.
And you can't be a part of it.
there's gonna
be
be
part
a
of
You
guard
can
at
be
the
a
door
part
too.
of it.
You can
just
sit in the
show up.
audience.
So you
Show
don't,
up and give your
you
opinion
don't vote
as
now?
an employee, as a
That's what
resident.
I got.
Oh,
You can show up and give your opinion as a resident.
because I want, you know, George does so much, calling and spending his time with the county. And he's not getting nothing for this. And I think it's, I always figured that there was always 2 from the township board on the road committee. So who are my 3 that are, who are the 3 that are?
We can communicate with you. I don't have their names handy, so if we can, I would communicate with the entire board on the people that have applied for the positions after tonight.
Okay,
If that's okay, I'll send that out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll probably have Taylor send it out, so she has the applications, so.
Yeah, email is fine.
okay,
And then we can go from there.
yeah.
So we'll put this on the next agenda as well.
Yes.
You'll have some time to
I will.
coordinate with your team, and then you can tell us if there's an ask of us other than,
Yeah.
recruit people. I think that's a general ask anyway. Or if there's some advice or direction you're looking for. Is that fair?
Yes, I appreciate that.
Does the board feel okay with that? All right, then that takes us to item D, which is enforcement-related housing assistance policy. Superintendent. Oh, sorry.
No. I was thinking that the ordinances were next. I'm so sorry. I was gonna go to the restroom. What you had in your packet was not what I intended for you to have in your packet. David put together this policy for us. Thank you, David. What I was not gonna have this do was be for board action. I had a draft of this that I had implemented and approved as the superintendent as an administrative policy that took effect. I think I had it dated for February 26th. I wanted to provide this to you as an update to let you know that we had put something in place and that it was an administrative policy and that it would take effect even prior to the ordinances being up for second reading and adoption. So that is my update to you, is that this is in place. This is not the copy that I wanted you to have. It shouldn't say Township Board Adoption. It will have a footer that says it's a superintendent policy, administrative policy, and it went into effect on February 26th. So, but the policy as written by David was fantastic, and I was happy to put into place to provide our residents with assistance should they need it because of the new policies that you are scheduled to adopt tonight. So if you have any questions, I'm certainly here for your answers.
Well, thank you for pulling this together, and thanks to David. I think this is really helpful. I don't know if this will go a long way in assuaging people's concerns that we're gonna run people out of their homes. That's, again, not our intent. It's nice, I think, to have something in black and white to share what our intent is.
I do, and
which
it's a
is help-
commitment to
help
this,
people.
to the board that these resources will be available to people. So should you hear that somebody is not being afforded the opportunity for assistance, you can assure them there is a policy in place and that is our intent, is to help people.
Sherry, I know this was one of your concerns, making sure we're not just letting people to their own, if we use the ordinance to move them out of their housing. Do you have any feedback or thoughts? Again, it's not for board approval, but.
No, one of my thoughts that hit me is how, and I have one in mind that is tiny little half-acre plot with a trailer and a garbage heap around it. And there's other people that I know that have 150 acres, and you cannot see trailer that they're living in and that happens to be a veteran. And it kind of breaks my heart to think this one might not be complained about, and be able to stay there and be an eyesore. This one that no one can see could be booted out of their home on 150 acres. It's not visible from the road.
Well, I would make an offer to you that if we cannot see it from the road, we are not taking action on it.
But does that fit the rules then? Are
It does. We need to be able to see something from either an adjacent property or the road. We do not trespass.
So I can hide it behind my barn? Just so I know.
Sherry?
I think the overall goal of the policy is to make sure that people have a safe
Correct.
living
And I
environment,
would-
where that includes sanitation issues like sewer, water, electricity.
100%.
How somebody in a mobile living quarters is hooking up to these things.
Right, that's, should be.
They're not, it's never been inspected by a building inspector, a health inspector. Like, I think that's the overall goal, is to make
Correct.
sure that where people are living is safe. And then it may take some time to help them adapt to however that needs to take place. But I don't think the goal is just to eliminate what some people might think of as eyesores because they can see them next door.
And I would offer,
I don't think that that's really the goal here.
I think you said that beautifully. But I would also take it a step further and offer that anytime police and fire as well are called to a home, whatever the reason, whether it's a medical call, a police call, or a fire assistance, we offer these resources to people in general, even if they're aging and we think maybe their house isn't safe for them. This is what every aspect of the township is offering this assistance when they go into. So it could be somebody falls and they need a lift assist, and we think, oh, you don't have enough space to get around in your home, like, do you need resources? So these resources are offered on a regular basis, and it is on the person to decide whether they want those services or not. So, but Trustee Hagerman is correct. The intent is not to unhouse or to identify these situations and then leave people to the streets with, but it is to enhance their conditions and make sure that they're safe and livable and healthy. So I think she said it beautifully.
It scared some people, I know, that to become stricter. And I know there's been a bunch of travel trailers people live in, and as long as people aren't complaining about them, they've stayed. I've seen them, we've all seen them.
Well, and am I correct in thinking that that's not allowed under our current rules?
That's exactly right, but it has been allowed by function, let's put it that way. And,
But that's, go ahead.
No, I think that's probably incorrect. Saying that something is taking place and saying that something's allowed are two different statements. So something can absolutely be taking place, and that you might very well be correct in that statement. But saying that the township has been allowing it or permitting it or encouraging it through policy, that is not correct. We've quite actually been doing the opposite. A dwelling is defined in our ordinance, and a trailer doesn't meet the dwelling. It also doesn't meet many state building code standards for a permanent
no, I
dwelling.
realize that, I just have seen and noticed that people look the other way sometimes in regulations, and I've seen it for sure happen here. Not that I care that much, it's okay sometimes.
I can
it's
assure
not.
you that if it in some way is not permitted, we do not look the other way. At least under my time as superintendent, we do not look the other way.
But I do think it's fair to say, what we continue to say to people is we are a complaint-driven system.
Right.
That is
Which I
correct.
think is what
Exactly.
Sherry's trying to say, is that
Nobody's
we
been
know, we might all know in the room that something exists, but until someone actually complains about it, the township's not gonna take action.
Right.
And that was instructed to me in 2012 when I was appointed to this board the first time, was this is how we work, we don't go looking for problems. But I do think we have, in the latest years, felt a lot of tension to try to keep the township in the way that we as friendly neighbors would like it. and having a complaint-based system. But I think, should we move from a complaint-based system, you would need to present to us a staffing model for that, and, you know, what does it look like? Are you sending out investigators to look for these problems, or, you know, what that looks like?
Sure.
This board has not instructed you to do that, but I do feel when we have these conversations that there's this awkwardness of like, we know some of these things exist, but until someone raises their hand to say something. You know, I've had citizens call me and say, I'm scared to make a complaint, because I'm afraid my neighbor will know it's me. The only person who can see this is me, and if I'm the one who complain, you know, if there's a complaint, they're gonna know, and they're mean people, and, you know. So we know that there's folks that are unwilling to make these complaints because they're fearful. You know, I don't know what the answer is. It'd be interesting to hear what your staff feels. Like, should we stop telling people we're a complaint-driven system? Should we move to something else? And what resources that would take? I don't know if the full board's even interested in moving that way, but it does come up in these issues that it's just a weird tension.
Well, I thank you for naming it, because I think where we exist with Roger and with Miles and the different staff, you know, we do take them seriously. We had one recently that said, I was on Google Earth and I saw my neighbor's got a trash heap and I want it taken care of. Well, we can't confirm that from the road or from an adjacent property. The only way that could be confirmed is from the sky with a drone, and we're not doing that. So,
But we could.
but we won't.
No, I don't think you can say that. We could, as a township, take that
It
action.
would be legal.
That is not how,
If this board instructed you
Yes.
to take that action,
yes,
you
if
could
this
do
board
that.
instructed me to,
That's what
yes.
I'm getting to.
Yes,
Like,
that
that's
would,
where the policy
Yes.
piece is awkward.
but with my current direction, no,
Yeah, right,
we will not.
I agree.
We will not.
It has been very clear,
Yes.
complaint-driven system,
Yes.
we won't fly drones over your property.
Correct.
And I'm not saying we should or shouldn't.
No, but I'm,
just
you're,
trying to
you're correct. I'm
define
sorry.
the
That,
awkwardness.
yes, that's
Yeah.
the awkward, that's what, that, with your, with this board's direction, yes, that could occur.
Yeah. So,
Currently, it will
you
not.
know, if this board is interested in providing a different structure, I think that's a conversation to be had. I don't know if that's where everyone is, but, it does feel like we're moving into a size and a type of government that complaint-driven system isn't working the way it used to for us. But that's my opinion. I'm not speaking on behalf of the board. Does that sum up okay what you were saying, Sherry?
Pretty much. It's difficult.
I'm still wondering, if somebody's living on 150 acres and needs assistance.
No, they don't, this was more directed toward the housing of the trailers and that kind of fit into here too. By eliminating some of those, we eliminate some low-income housing that's not quite legal, I guess you have to say.
But at least now we've got something in writing saying it's not our intention to unhouse people. That certainly still could happen based on the ordinance, but we've got some steps in here that we would take to be supportive. It makes me feel better about approving the ordinance changes, at least that there's direction, to your point, like the board is giving direction. Well, in this case, you are, because it's an administrative policy. Any other discussion about that? All right, let's move to items for action. We have the second reading and adoption of zoning ordinance number 3190, mobile temporary living facilities and structures. We have seen this twice before, once for discussion. We have approved it once for first reading and adoption. Our planner is here to answer any further questions if we have them, but I don't think another presentation of the ordinance is necessary unless someone would like that, or if there's additional questions. If there is not any further presentation or education needed by the board, we would need to move this forward with a motion.
I'll move it ahead. Adoption of ordinance number 31.90.
You're moving the second reading and adoption?
Correct.
Thank you. Is there a second? We have a second from Trustee Hagerman. Any other discussion?
All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
I
Oh,
got a question.
reverse. He played the reverse card on you, April.
Got me.
Sorry.
You got me, it's okay.
This is mobile temporary living. Now, is this, the trailer park that's over on Upland Road,
Miles, we're gonna need you, bud.
is this, what is that doing to that?
It doesn't affect that. It's a separate land use type of governed under a totally different section.
But it's a mobile home.
So,
You can call them modular if you want, you can call them mobile what you want, but
we would call them a modular.
they were brought in
And-
as a trailer.
Yep, and they also, that complex trailer parks, if you will, are governed under a totally different set of regulatory rules set by the
Yep.
state. Actually, we can't even provide zoning permits as a local municipality. It's like, let's say you have a trailer in one of those parks and you wanna get a deck, for example. If you lived anywhere else in the township, you would have to apply for a zoning permit. But in those parks specifically, you do not have to apply for a zoning permit because local control zoning policy is not permitted within those because there's separate state laws and guidelines for how those are treated. Lizzie could probably speak to that much better than I could.
Okay.
So these are temporary.
Those are permanent housing.
Well, they're only good for 20 years. That's temporary to me, when you're 80.
I would just emphasize, as trustee Hagerman just noted, it is to me very clear from the amendments to both of these matters that the focus on temporary is evidencing, like, this was never intended to be a home, right? So you have the examples, for instance, in the definition of temporary structure referring to shipping containers. Never intended to be a home for the very reasons that trustee Hagerman mentioned a few moments ago in response to trustee Kellerman's concerns. That was not designed to be a space for the living and safe well-being of humans. And so I think that these ordinances as drafted and presented to you are going to be permissible and enforceable. I also think you have a record of both this board's intent and your planning department's clear intent about how it intends to enforce them that will protect against that concern.
Okay.
I have a question. In regards to shipping containers, I think
Popular
anybody
topic.
that's been on the internet knows that that's all the rage now, is making homes out of shipping containers.
Yeah.
At what point is it called a home?
So that is a good question. At the point where the minimum standards of the state of Michigan building code are met for what constitutes a dwelling for human habitation.
So it would be sewer, water, electricity.
And then all insulation, drywall, all the features that make a dwelling that's suitable for human habitation,
Yeah.
which there are many.
Ventilation, exits.
I just heard that they're gonna change the code to R60 for roofs. That's a lot of insulation.
I can't speak to
I don't speak to that. That is not within my expertise.
Sorry, that was just something that came out.
Wow.
People do build homes out of shipping containers,
Yeah.
but
Thanks, I just,
More than dropping it on the property.
Yeah.
is the primary point.
Other questions for Miles or other things we need from him? Do we have a motion on this? Yes?
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miles.
So let's do a roll call vote.
Are you ready this time?
Ask Al.
Trustee Kotke,
yes.
trustee Kellerman,
Yes.
trustee Hagerman,
Yes.
trustee Rosekrans.
Yes.
Supervisor Fewins-Bliss,
Yes,
treasurer Wilson.
Yes.
you then went the opposite direction, really fried my brain there.
She surprised me, she called me first, I didn't know what to do.
That motion carries. That brings us to the second piece of this, the second reading and adoption of regulatory ordinance amendment 47.02, also about mobile temporary living facilities and structures. Are there questions we have for Miles, concerns we want to raise, or is there a motion to move that second reading and adoption forward?
I'll make the motion for the second reading and adoption of ordinance 4702.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Is there any discussion?
Ready?
Hearing none, we'll take another roll call vote.
Trustee Kellerman,
Yes.
trustee Hagerman,
Yes.
trustee Rosekrans,
No.
treasurer Wilson,
Yes.
Supervisor Fewins-Bliss?
Yes.
Trustee Kotke?
Yes.
Now you're just messing with me.
I do it on purpose.
So that's 5-1. That motion carries with 1 dissent. That brings us to item 13, Big B, Small C, Transfer of Uniform Video Service Local Franchise Agreement for the Wild Open West, Inc., to Bandit Midco, Inc. At least they're honest about them robbing us.
You know, I read this and I said, what in the heck are we taking videos or uniforms for?
Mr. Chair with the jokes tonight, thank you.
They're not my favorite ones. I think we made that clear.
This has been reviewed by legal counsel Chris Patterson of Fahey Schultz. He has indicated in my memo, I included his comments, that he's reviewed the underlying agreement and the transfer document, and he is saying that the standards applied, they did what they were supposed to do within the applicable 15-day timeframe. They did review the original agreement for any irregularities, and he felt that the township may proceed with executing the transfer document. So pending any questions for me or legal counsel here, we are good to transfer.
Thank you. Other questions, thoughts, concerns?
This is, just to be clear, this is a service provider that we use for the videos for this? Is that it?
No, my question, what's it for? I missed
What
it.
is it for?
Not even close.
I looked at it when I was
My thought
going over
too.
this
Yeah.
weekend, and it said, video of uniforms to me. So,
They operate within our township, and we receive franchise fees from the state as a result of their operations.
This is for WOW to move to Bandit,
okay.
so that they have a license or the
So-
ability to operate in the township.
So we're not going to allow WOW in this neighborhood anymore? Is that what it is?
If you vote no, and the rest of us vote no,
Okay,
then
well,
yes.
that was what, basically what I wanted to see what this was
But I
for.
understand legally, we don't really have a lot of option to vote no. Like, Lizzie, what happens if we vote no?
We're not great things. But also, I would just note that WOW itself became a subsidiary of this company, Bandit Midco. So it's not, like, WOW is gone.
Okay.
You'll see that on page 28 of the packet. There's a description of why there's a transfer happening. So you're still with the same generic family of companies. It is, as we often see, where we now have some separate subsidiaries. Typically, there are a host of reasons in the business world where you would do that. I'm sure you experienced it a lot in your prior career too. So WOW is not gone. WOW is just a wholly owned subsidiary of Bandit Midco. And now Bandit Midco would hold your franchise.
And do they have the right to change my contract with WOW?
Those are not the same things at all.
Okay.
It will still, your contract with WOW is controlled, just like anybody else's, by the documents that you sign with that company. I would guess, however, that there are likely some pieces of language in that contract about their ability to assign their responsibilities, so you can check that in the fine print someplace. But this document has nothing to do with your contract with WOW.
Okay. I was just confused, so.
Yep.
Thank you
No,
for the
those are good
clarification.
questions. They're very good questions. Always happy to be of service.
And if we vote no,
You don't want to.
No, then likely they would seek some formal administrative appeal process to challenge the decision. This is a matter of, I think as Chris noted, this is an administrative measure to make sure that we have the right company on the line for the one who is responsible to ultimately get franchise fees back to us.
got it, thank you.
So it costs us money if we say no.
It will complicate
Sounds
your
like it.
receipt of money is what it would say. Thank you. And I don't think that's something you're looking for, given the conversation we had earlier.
So this is an item for action. We have seen this before. Would someone like to move this agreement forward or authorize the superintendent to sign this agreement on our behalf?
I'd like to make that motion to authorize Superintendent Hildebrandt to sign the contract to transfer uniform video service local franchise agreement for Wide Open West to Bandit Midco Incorporated.
Thank you.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to do what you just heard Trustee Kotke describe. Is there any other discussion or concerns? This sounds like a great roll call vote.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Trustee Hagerman.
Yes.
Supervisor Fewins-Bliss.
Yes.
Trustee Kellerman.
Yes.
Trustee Kotke.
Yes.
Treasurer Wilson.
Yes.
Trustee Rosekrans.
Yes.
Thank you, that carries. That brings us to item 14, new business. Items for introduction and discussion. We have a proposed workforce housing project on Tower Avenue with a pilot request. We have the superintendent and our planner to present that, and I understand we also have a guest here who can speak to this as well.
We do, and I would offer, with your permission, him to come to the podium and introduce himself and introduce his project.
Welcome.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Sean McMickle. I'm a Vice President of Development with Spire Development. And thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. I appreciate your time. I wanted to give an overview of myself and Spire Development and the type of housing that we build. I'm going to talk a lot about that, in fact, because I think it provides useful context for what we would like to propose. So, and thank you. So we are a Spire Development. We are based out of Columbus, Ohio. We are an affordable housing developer specifically. So all we do is affordable housing. We are active in 7 states, mostly in the Midwest and a couple states out west. We have a number of projects in Michigan. Ohio is our main state. And we are proposing an affordable housing project on Tower Avenue. So I'd like to start by talking about, what this housing is. What is affordable housing? Also, what it is not. When people say affordable housing, a lot of times their mind jumps to public housing or project-based Section 8 housing. And so I do want to be very clear that this is not that in any sense. What we are proposing is a rent-controlled product that is tied to the median income for the county. So to start from the beginning, this program is called the Low Income Housing Tax Credit Program, or LIHTC for short. I think that's a poor name. I think that could use a better choice of words to describe it. The program was created in 1986 by President Ronald Reagan, and it has been expanded bipartisanly ever since. It is a federal program, and in fact, both recent administrations have expanded the program and made certain aspects of it permanent and to the IRS tax code. So, long-standing program, and it receives a lot of bipartisan support at the federal level. Again, they're federal tax credits. And how this works is every state in the United States is allocated a certain number of these tax credits. And so the Michigan State Housing Development Authority is in charge of deciding where these tax credits and therefore projects go throughout the state. And every couple of years, they create what's called a Qualified Allocation Plan, or a QAP for short. And what that is a scorecard. So it's a scorecard that incentivizes developers to choose locations that would be a good fit for these types of projects. They incentivize things like being in areas where there's a lot of demand. One of the reasons that we arrived at this very particular area of the township is that it's in a census tract that a very high number of individuals are what they call rent burden. They're paying more than what they can afford in rent. So in Census Tract 112 specifically, 52% of individuals are paying more than 30% of their income towards rent. And so that's a very high amount. And so if you look at the state as a whole, it's a census tract that lights up red in that regard. There's a lot of people paying more than they can afford in rent. Other things are they want to see these projects in areas with economic opportunity. This is granted in Lansing, but they have a radius map of, basically they show a radius from large scale economic development projects. For example, Blue Oval near Battle Creek would be one. The LG battery plant in Lansing is another. And so this area would overlap with that. So there's that combination of factors of it's in an area where people are paying too much for rent, and it's also close to economic opportunity. And those are reasons why we arrived at this area within Bath Township. This area has scored for a number of years, and we've had a long-standing interest in doing a project in Bath Township. And I just wanted to take an opportunity to present, what we would like to do and gather feedback and talk specifically about a project we could do if there were support. To talk a little bit more about the tax credits to provide additional context. So, very, very competitive program. These applications tend to have about a 30% hit rate. And so if you're not ticking all the competitive boxes, then there's frankly no chance you're ever going to get an award. And this product, as I mentioned, it's rent-controlled housing. And how that rent level is determined is by the median income for the county. So Clinton County, median income, we would be charging to individuals who make 80% and below to qualify. So you have to make 80% and below. And I have the specific numbers here, just to provide additional insight. So the 4-person AMI, so this is 4 people in Clinton County, is about $101,000. So if you look at one person, 80% of the median, that would be about $56,000 to qualify to live in this project. So further context, that's about $26 an hour. So people hear low-income housing tax credit, I would think it's more of a middle-income type housing tax credit, middle-income type product. $26 is really a starting salary for a lot of individuals. The project would be long-term owned and operated by Spire Development. This is fundamentally different from market rate, where developers come in and they build something and they build it as cheaply as possible, and then they try to sell it or manage it poorly, or not poorly, but inexpensively, what have you. Spire is the long-term owner of all of these projects that we own, and any developer that's doing this tends to be the long-term owner, because it's not enough just to build it. These tax credits, they provide an incentive for sticks and bricks. They help fund the hard costs of construction, but we also have to manage it long-term as well. And that's part of the development team. In order to get these awards, you have to have a proven track record of successfully operating these projects well within Michigan and other areas of the country. So we would be the long-term owner of this project. We would have a third-party project manager. We use KMG Prestige in Michigan. They're one of the largest affordable housing managers in the state, and they have a wealth of experience. We like to use third-party because Spire is a development firm. Ultimately, we are responsible for their performance. So if they were ever to not meet expectations, we would find a new manager. Hasn't happened yet. We've had very great experience with them and enjoy working with them. But just to iterate that Spire Development is ultimately in charge of managing the project long-term. We also use third-party construction, so we like to hire local so that the construction dollars stay local. We like to provide jobs for people within the community. And so with that, what we would like to propose this evening is a workforce housing project on Tower Avenue. In order to make that happen, I mentioned there's a competitive process. We would need to have a payment in lieu of taxes tax abatement, and I'll explain at length why that's necessary for these projects. There's the competitive aspect of it. If you don't have it, you won't be competitive for award. There's no sense in applying. But there's also the practical aspect of, since we're capped in the amount of rent that we can charge, what a pilot does is it ties our tax liability to collected shelter rents. So you take the rents that are collected, you subtract utilities, and then you just pay a percentage of that. And so in reality, we're not saying we don't want to pay taxes. We're tying it to the rents that we charge so that the project can operate successfully long-term. I mentioned we're the long-term owners of these projects, and if, for example, a reassessment came through and they look at this project, it's a beautiful project built to LEED Zero energy efficiency standards, very high quality, looks like a luxury apartment development, we would be potentially charged a tax that the project could not support, and it could go bankrupt. So that's why it's important to tie the tax liability to the actual collected rent, so again, the project can be successful long-term. In reality, a lot of times that's akin to paying ad valorem or market rate taxes when you really look at the math behind it. And so I'll talk more about that, and there's different strategies on how to split it and whatnot, but that is the reasoning behind the request, both competitive and so that the project can operate long-term. And also, frankly, the state wants to see support for these types of projects. It's not a matter of just finding a zone site and forcing it in an area where it doesn't fit. There has to be a certain level of local support for these projects to pass a pilot. And so, again, that's why we're requesting that. Also for this project, I understand that we would need to extend utilities. Another, I guess, request that we are making would be and Miles can correct me, I think there's a number of ways to phrase it, but an inter-township agreement or something similar to access utilities from Meridian Township. We have confirmed that they have capacity, water, sewer, to serve this development. We would also be, and that would be at our cost, we'd be extending utilities at our cost. This particular property is, there's a section of asphalt road that ends and it's on a dirt section. We would be extending the road at our cost as well to this development. And I think there'd be a number of positive externalities. We also arrived at this site because it's zoned medium density residential, so it would be appropriate for a multifamily product. Positive externality, if we're extending utilities at this capacity, that could spur further development in line with the comprehensive plan and future land use map. What we were proposing, these projects tend to be around 45 units or so. We're proposing 46 units of general occupancy. These projects can be general occupancy, where there's no age restrictions to live in it, or it can be senior restricted, which would be 55 and up. We're open to both, but the general occupancy tends to be easier to operate. We'd like to, they rent up faster. There's more of that workforce component to it. We like to do those, but we'd be open to senior if that were better received. I shared a number of pictures of example projects that we've done in Michigan and other states to provide just context and show an example of the quality of our product. It's not, again, people hear affordable housing and they think to the outdated public housing model. The tax credit program was created, in fact, to fix that, to change it. These are privately owned, privately invested projects, and so very high quality. There's replacement reserves. There's a number of things that investors require in order to help fund these projects. So again, just wanted to provide some examples of our product to show the level of quality and scale of what they have to offer. And so with that, happy to, it's a lot of information very quickly, but I would love to have, I guess, somewhat of a discussion as to, the fit of this type of housing within the community. If this is an appropriate location, we would love to do it. I would love to garner some feedback.
Yeah.
I see it's 1.38 acres. Are you gonna buy ground around it? Is that what you're gonna do to
We
make
could
this
do that.
development?
We could do it on that site. We've approached some of the adjacent landowners. The one to the north wasn't interested in selling. I haven't talked to the south. We could compile more land. Most of our projects are on about this size of 1.5 acres or so.
And you can get enough parking
So we
for
would,
these houses that are back over here?
yeah, we would likely propose around a 1:4 parking ratio, 1:4 to 1:5 parking ratio. So I have a concept site plan that was not a part of the packet that I can share. If I may.
Do you own this property?
No, we have a purchase agreement in
Okay.
place, yeah, to where we could. Would I be able to share a
Yeah.
concept?
Yeah.
Miles, do you have a report on this? You have your feelings on this?
It's in the packet.
Okay, I'd like to hear it. Maybe he's got
Can we
something
let
that
this
he
guy
didn't.
finish first?
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks.
So other than choosing this area because it's red on the census tract map, it's sort of different than the current layout of the neighborhood. Is that a concern? I imagine it might be a concern of ours.
Yeah, so we don't know. We look at the zoning map and we see that it's zoned for medium density residential. This is in line with that zoning designation and our understanding of the future land use. I also understand that there would be no appetite for any sort of pilot or similar for a project like this if we don't have to extend utilities or do anything like that. So that's additional reason why we arrived at this. it's zoned appropriately, and the future land use shows it as this use. Extending utilities could, help to spur that, if that's indeed what future land use is to be.
For the competitive nature of the program, the credits, do you need us to issue you a pilot, or do you need us to say we're open to it? Is it a letter of support? Like, what is the actual ask?
We would have to secure a pilot.
Okay. And I'm sorry if you said this, I don't quite speak your language, so I may have missed it. The rate of the pilot would be what?
That would be up to the township. Typically, it's between 4 to 8%.
4 to 8% would be the payment, or would be the reduction?
The payment.
Whew!
4 to 8%. So
Girl.
other projects that we have, it's around $30,000.
Okay.
And that's, we would have to arrive at a final unit count and, set the rents and before we could say with specificity what it would be for this
Yeah.
project, but that is an example. of what
Miles,
they
did you
are.
run how much this would generate in tax revenue without the pilot?
No, and largely because we don't have the fleshed out yet.
Yeah, and oftentimes it comes up of what we're proposing would be an increase in taxes paid by the property. It's not necessarily a reduction if there isn't anything there. It's not quite apples to apples comparison to compare it to a market rate ad valorem to what we're doing, because it's not that. It's single family. It would be a net increase in taxes.
And how long do you need the pilot for?
The minimum of the compliance period for the scoring is 15 years, so we would request 20. One thing I failed to mention on the tax credit program, that initial compliance period is 15 years. We put a restrictive covenant on the property that, we couldn't say, we're gonna charge affordable rents and they're gonna be affordable to these households. There's a restrictive covenant put, and then not do it. There's a covenant put on the property to where we have to, so that stops developers from saying one thing and doing another. And so after that initial compliance period, what tends to happen is developers apply again, and that provides additional funds to rehab the property. So at about 20 years, developers they do it again all over, and they put new windows in and new siding and new roofs and
Is 20 years the minimum that you all could make the project work?
I think so, yes, because, again, at 15 years, we would need some buffer. It has to score well to get the points again. In some municipalities, we've secured 45-year pilots because it is going to be affordable for 45 years. So that would be ideal, but we don't want to be asking for too much.
How long do your residents typically stay in their unit?
Yeah, that's it. We do year leases. Yeah, it's not transient housing or short-term. All residents will have to show proof of employment, proof of income, pass background checks, provide references. And so year leases, and they can stay as long as they please, as long as they're a good tenant.
Now, would college students qualify? Typically, they do
Yeah,
have low
thank you for
income,
asking.
and
No,
we're in that area.
Yeah. No, you cannot be a full-time student and qualify to live in these projects.
I have a general thought of what your answer is going to be, but why the 80%? Why not the 60 or the 40?
So we average 60%. So the average for the entire project would be 60%. The high end is 80. and
The
then
eligibility is 80.
Eligibility, yes.
Got it.
But there will be some 60% and some lower as well, down to 30%. So that's the range, but 80 is the cap.
You're using the term workforce housing, but in the way that I'm familiar with it, that's usually tied to a particular workforce, building it for teachers, building it for, but that's not really the thought here, right? It's just folks that would be considered working.
Yes, precisely. It's not tied to any specific project or partner workforce specifically. We like to say that just to emphasize that it's people working. It's entry-level professionals that can qualify. It's people that have an income.
Okay. Go ahead, Al.
Do you normally keep them the full 20 years? You
Yeah.
don't sell them?
Correct, yeah, we keep them into perpetuity.
The trash area. How does a garbage truck get down there to dump that? I've drove a garbage truck for many years at Michigan State, and that does not look like enough room to get in there.
I just want to emphasize, this is just a concept test fit, just to show the approximate scale. Yes, there would need to be, our architect would have to run a turning radius to show. Off the cuff, I would think that we could flip the parking spaces to the other side, and there would be more of a turn radius where that tree is.
Yeah, yeah.
I know you're saying that this is a concept, but would this meet our green space requirements? Feels
So
like
we
it's
would
a
need-
lot of
If we did the
pavement.
1.4 acres, we would likely need a relief on lot coverage and parking. We could do the flat roof to stay under the 3 stories, the height rather, requirement, but we would, if we do the 1.38, we would need relief on that aspect of it. We would have underground detention, stormwater detention.
Okay.
Then it goes to the Remy Tanner drain, right?
Sorry.
Yes, because the drain goes right by there.
Ryan,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Cheryl.
I'm familiar with that road. It's very, very low land there. I believe in your next large structure to the north used to be a horse farm, and it's now the deer rescue for the township or county or whatever. I think they own 20 or 30 acres there. Is that correct?
Yes.
And this is very low land, almost muck, almost marsh, correct?
So
The whole thing is in that area.
Isn't this where the sod farm was?
No.
Or close?
No.
There, it's close to, but that whole area is extremely low.
This was all truck farms at one time.
It was muck.
there's a,
To the right is muck. To the east is muck.
And what's your point?
Well, this I believed is zoned ag here.
Well, you said
I think it's all in
mid-density residential.
Up
that whole area.
the whole, this whole,
Yep.
Specific.
Okay, so it's
may have
changed.
an egg exemption because of what was on the property, but it's probably in the MDR zone
Miles?
area still.
You see many problems here?
Yeah, can we, before that, any more questions
Oh.
for our guests? I think Miles has a whole presentation, right, Miles?
yeah, I got some words.
Any other questions?
How come you can ask him and I can't?
Ask who?
Miles.
I'm not asking Miles anything. I'm asking Miles to sit down and wait.
He minds very well, too.
He does.
Anything else for Sean?
Do people typically renew their lease year after year, or is it kind of a one and then move on to the next place?
It's a whole mixed.
It's a whole mix,
Yeah,
okay.
we have some residents that stay long-term, others, they move in because they got a new job and they work their way up and they have to move to another city, it's a mixed bag.
Okay.
I have a question. Just how profitable is Spire?
We're a for-profit company,
Right.
I guess we're an affordable housing finance top 50 developer in the country. So we are successful and we are good at what we do,
Privately held,
privately owned, yes.
so he's not gonna tell you.
Well, somebody's gotta be making money somewhere. That's why I'm asking.
Other questions for our guests?
I'd like to hear what
All
Miles
right.
has to say.
Yeah, we're getting there. Get it. Thank you. Stay close, because we may have more questions. Miles, we are eager, begging to hear from you on this issue.
Pins and needles.
A lot of pressure right now. Thanks for that presentation. I thought that was good. I thought you spoke to, your guys' view of the development well. I did put out a statement to the superintendent. It sounds like that was shared with the board on just some of the, I'll call them the built environment, opportunities, challenges, whatever word you wanna use, that would be related to this development. Before I dive into those, I'll just say, and Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, I'll talk about process a little bit here, because some of you might be wondering, why, including John, might be wondering why he hasn't heard about this, but it's before the board tonight. It was indicated by the development team that, the pilot and the LIHTC, factors of this development would be project killers, is the term I use, if that wasn't to go through. So I, maybe selfishly on my end and selfishly on the planning commission side, didn't want to send this through, intensive review process, as many of you are aware it is, only to come to the board and find out that a pilot was a no-go, thus wasting a lot of time and money. So, I requested, the superintendent, and I think the superintendent reached out and said, could we identify this as a process that we at first come to the board, talk this piece of it over, and then maybe move forward, pending how the discussion goes at the board level. Is that
That's accurate.
okay?
Yeah, that is accurate, because this, and legal, I am unfamiliar with the process, but was able to locate the files from, the Hawks Ridge, which you're all familiar with, was the other pilot in
I thought
our
that was similar.
township. Yeah, it was adopted, I think, in 2009, and then they came back for an extension. It requires an ordinance on behalf of the township and some other education opportunities that I offered to you tonight as well. So we can discuss that after Miles, after you get your questions answered thoroughly and decide what next steps look like for this group. But there really is no point in having staff or the planning commission work on this if there's no interest by this group to have a pilot payment in lieu of taxes program on this. So the logical first step was this body, because you are the ultimate decision maker in terms of whether that is going to go or not. So Miles is correct. Thank you.
Alright, in terms of the built environment and some of the unique challenges that, this project presents for the development team and the township, there are a few, some of those have been spoken about already. I'll just say at the top that, you know, if this was to move forward, it would go through the intensive site plan review process, as do all commercial developments. This particular development in the medium density, district is permitted by special use permit. So there is wider latitude on what the planning commission, ultimately the board, is able to establish in terms of conditions for this project. Also, that would require us to engage in the state mandated public noticing process and then public hearing process. So this will get looked at by many eyes. Some of the challenges that have been identified, probably the leading one is utilities. As many of you know, if you don't have water and sewer and or well and septic, depending, you don't have a project. The utilities would have to be sourced outside of Bath Township, sounds like Meridian, and then ran north on Tower Avenue into Bath Township. This would facilitate some kind of agreement. This could take multiple forms, and I would defer to legal counsel on how they would like to structure said agreement, opinions on said agreement, but could probably take a couple of different forms, but it would have to be between a number of entities. That's a challenge, getting governments to play nice in the sandbox. I think the developer would agree, it's not always an easy thing to do. I'm not by any means saying it's not doable. Anything is doable, in my opinion. It's just how much time and money creates a barrier to entry to get it in the end zone. Another challenge is the site's size itself. That was brought up tonight in a couple of different forms. It sounds like this development firm is familiar with doing this type of development on sites like this. As many of you know, though, and maybe might not know locally, Bath Township is a wet place. I did look at the soil map, and it didn't seem, according to the raster data that they have on Fetch GIS, that this is above home muck. That would be a problem. It looked more like loam, which is better, but it's not sand either, which was best. So Bath Township's a wet place. The water's gotta go somewhere. Retaining this water from structure and parking lot on site would be difficult. It sounds like they've considered engineering solutions to that. I can also just,
He said underground.
you did say underground.
Yeah, I can also just attest that we would have to demonstrate to investors that the site is suitable.
that's just the first step in the process. We would do geotechnical borings, and we'd have to demonstrate bearing capacity. So we wouldn't build anything on forced bills. Yeah. And I guess to that end, there's a lot to be discussed in the site plan. I don't know if this is the forum to go through like every facet of the site plan. It does sound like we're not there at this point. In terms of just land, I would talk though in this point about like land use, cohesiveness. That's something that's gonna get brought up at some point in this process. It might as well be now. This is in the medium density residential district. It is permitted, as I said, by special use permit in this district. On the future land use map, this district would remain medium density residential as currently approved, although these are conversations we're having at the planning commission level right now, as we are in the midst of creating a new comprehensive plan, which would involve updates to zoning and future land use. So that's subject to change in the near future. However, if you ask the lay resident on Tower Avenue if a apartment unit they could see in their near future, I would assume the answer would be no. That's worth saying because, again, this is all these properties are gonna be noticed within 300 feet. We're gonna hold a public hearing. I'd imagine there'd be some level of interest from nearby residents on what's happening. And then it will ultimately be a factor of the planning commission's decision and the board. Again though, has this on the other side, just to be fair to the development team and maybe residents and board members that are seeking these, is this an area of dynamic change and even in recent history in the township? Of course it is. This is an area that has seen, if you would ask a resident 50 years ago what Chandler Road would have looked like, they probably wouldn't have guessed this. So, there are two sides to that story.
There is, to the east of there, some apartments, right?
Yes, there's many apartments to
Yeah.
the east. That's why I thought it was worth mentioning.
And not too far to the west, also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again, dynamic area for sure. But,
And those lots, all of them are pretty big, like,
this is a smaller
this is
lot
the
of
smallest one
what
that I'm saying, like,
exists on town.
eventually, that could all become a Chandler Road.
Well,
I mean, seriously, unfortunately.
well, there's build out potential there for sure, and getting utilities in the area would probably.
Benefit everybody.
It would probably, will benefit, I try to speak in the world of facts, so benefits are subjective.
That's true.
But would bringing utilities and a paved road down Tower Avenue create some kind of catalyst effect to density and development in the future? I would say that's likely.
Why is this coded medium density?
That is a great question. This is coded medium density because in the last comprehensive planning process, zoning map and future land use map was adopted as a part of that process, and that's what the policymakers in Bath at the time adopted.
In your current process, and maybe you're not this far yet, has there been discussion of changing this areas?
This area hasn't specifically come up, but generally there has been discussion of changing many areas.
To medium density?
No, just in general, to greater reflect what that realities of Bath Township are. The zoning and future land use map have stayed stagnant for, I wanna say like 20 years now, and as many of you also know, Bath Township is very different than it was 20 years ago.
I asked because if it does stay medium density, it's hard for me to understand how it gets to medium density if a way to stop this development is the neighbors are not gonna like it.
Well, one thing that might be crucial here is when we use terms like medium density, I think in the Bath equation of what medium density means, probably looks different to most people than what I think about when I think about medium density, because I've lived and worked and zoned in many communities that aren't Bath. And so medium, a 40-unit multifamily project, in a lot of places, like if we were in Detroit, they would be like, that's medium density.
but Bath's not Detroit, so that's kind of, you know, but.
So what would you say it in Bath terms is?
Well, I think that's something that we're talking about at the planning commission, like what does medium density look like in Bath? Cause it has changed. So right now, this is medium density though in Bath, permitted by special use permit, by your ordinance. So I'd say by your ordinance, and that's all I can only speak in facts. This is a special land use and medium density.
So I guess I go back to the question, if neighbors are going to complain, how does this ever become what we have coded it to be?
Well, that is the great challenge with zoning and local control and property rights and kind of always threading that needle between growth pressures and NIMBYism. Like, that is the challenge of our time.
Yeah, I'm challenged because I've heard you say maybe 1.5 million times that we have a housing crisis and that you really care about that.
That's my big thing, yes.
Yes, so like I listen to you, I hear you.
I appreciate that.
This seems like it would offer some relief to that, but it seems like there's some skepticism in the report that you've provided.
Well, because there's unique challenges to this, and again, I don't wanna get into all the site-specific challenges, but I think even the development team, you know, again, I think anything's possible. I think for every site challenge I could possibly think of, including building on home muck, there is an engineering solution to building on home muck. It's pile driving in pylons until we hit a stronger foundation. Most people wouldn't do that because that'd be cost prohibitive. So for every engineering challenge I could bring up tonight, the developer has a valid solution, I'm sure, you know.
But through the lens of the board, it's
but
not our job to solve the development problems.
no,
And it's
no.
not technically yours either.
No, but what I'm saying all this to get at, just to round it out here, is when I talk to developers on the phone about various projects, which happen often, I would say, you know, once a day I'm getting some call about some project that somebody's trying to think about. And the more things that start piling up that create barriers to entry, for me, it just, in my professional opinion, it gets more and more difficult. And just, it's
Difficult to what?
difficult to bring that product to market for the developer.
How does that affect the pilot though? Do you see where I'm going with this?
Because I think the board, I do see where you're going with this. By the board, in my approximation, by the board saying, well, we're in favor of a pilot, you're basically saying to the developer, like, this is a project that we would like to see in our township. And all I'm trying to say is, if you're going to present hope, it's important that you know that this development is more complicated than your typical development.
But it still has to go through the planning commission.
Still
Like,
has to go
even
through
if
the whole
we
process.
were interested, it still has to go through the rigorous.
And it sounds like this
Evaluation
one
of the
might get
planning
bounced
commission.
around though too, cause it sounds like there even is a need for variances in play. So it might go planning commission, ZBA, back to the planning commission, public hearing, you know.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to keep this like in the realm of us tonight, right, is the pilot. We don't need to solve all these other problems.
fine.
What is the challenge, do you have a recommendation for us on the pilot?
No, I would never recommend that. I'm looking to Lizzie for help on that question.
Those are policy decisions for the board, truly, and I think
Yeah,
that's
but we
the-
hire staff with expertise to give us,
Well, he's looking to me and I'm saying as legal, I'm never gonna tell you, no, you should not do that. I'm going to tell you that there are pluses and minuses, and the question is, what is the cost benefit analysis to you?
Yes.
Your reaction to, the potential 4 to 8%, which would be the payment, is an understandable one. On the other hand, to the comments that were just made, if there's a dire need or will soon be a dire need for housing, then you may say, I'm willing to take that, because the benefit to the residents is noticeable and marked. That's the policy making. Your planner is trying to tell you his position is, he maybe not a fan of pilots, because there's always gonna be the revenue turn that you would otherwise have in your pocket. You asked him for the analysis, he said he's not prepared to give it. That's a fair response because they're not sure about the number of units, but that will quickly translate. It won't be that difficult once there are further discussions to be able to say, this is what 4 to 8% looks like, and this is what it looks like if you just have somebody come in who doesn't want to pilot. The other practical consideration there is, here's what it looks like if no development happens
Right.
on that property.
Which
And
was
that
Sean's
is, I
point.
think, that's where your governance and your policy rules are coming into play here. Your planner is saying, you know, the work of, can it be done, how can it be done, what would it look like, what approvals do we need, what's the process, that all happens at the planning commission and in a lot of development meetings. Your call is this important enough to us to have housing, and is this the type and location that sounds like it might work for us, knowing there are a lot of unknowns, such that we might be willing to take that deal. And your ask from, I think, both the developer and the planner this evening are, if there's not a planet on which taking 4 to 8% of their revenue in exchange for what would have otherwise been the entirety of the property tax revenue for whatever gets on that property is going to be acceptable to you, they're asking for that communication tonight. If it's a possible, or if it's definite, that's something for you all to be sharing and discussing today.
That was great, thank you. And I guess I
She
would
gets
just
paid for
add,
that, that's fine.
my analysis was more on the built environment side that I provided. If a financial analysis is what you're looking for, it's something we can work towards. We should have that.
I don't know how we make the decision without that. Because honestly, I don't care if they have to go to Meridian Township and get a bunch of crap taken care of. That's not gonna be my time, and hopefully it's not gonna be your time.
It'll be a bit of our time. It'll be complicated.
Those are things that this group will need to work out, because in the end,
What
if it
group?
is us as administration.
Are you saying staff or board is
Miles,
what I'm
me,
asking?
yes, legal, yes, there will be time and
So
investment.
staff and board?
We'll have to approve the agreements between the.
Approving the agreements.
Plans
The
and
work
the
will
I
take
know, but
place.
guys, we can't count the 5 minutes that it takes for us to pass an agreement at this board level.
Okay,
as a
so it will
cost.
be significant time for SCUMA, Meridian Township, and our staff to work with legal and to work with those entities to come to some agreements on utilities and the agreements that need to take place.
And so you don't think that the pilot is worth that then?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm
I
saying
know,
if
but
you
guys have
want.
created a report here that says everything but we hate this project.
No,
So,
because
you know, if-
what I'm gonna tell you is that I have not been present, nor have you been present for the pilot that occurred last time. I think you were part of the extension of that pilot program. So I'm saying to you that if this group is interested in the idea of this, then we need to bring together some more information, including what that looks like financially, for this group, so that we can educate you to make the decision. But if there's no interest, I mean, I've seen boards where this comes up and they say, absolutely not. This board may say, housing is important, we don't have enough affordable housing, and this is important to us. Let's understand more of what it means, and we'll do that education for you, so you can make a good decision.
Assuming the assessors can give us a roundabout, because with Hawks Ridge over here, I mean, our pilot payment, we just got it, it's only $11,000 a year. It's not even close to what we would get
And where's that from?
Michigan State, the Housing Authority.
No, I mean, you said the payment that that we've gotten, what project is that from?
Hawks Ridge.
Hawks Ridge
Okay.
on Park Lake
I didn't hear
Road.
you say
Oh,
Hawks
yeah,
Ridge,
I
that's
said
why I
Hawks
asked you.
Ridge, yeah.
Okay.
I said Hawks Ridge, the only pilot we have in Bath Township.
And one of my thoughts would be too, is more people, more housing, we need more fire, more police.
Well, that was
And
my,
it's on the
that's-
south
that's-
end of the township.
Well, just in general, that it generates expense for us to provide safety, fire, police. As we increase our population, all that expense increases dramatically. So to understand what's coming in, if it costs twice as much for us to provide fire and police, then it is a stupid decision. If not, when we know the numbers and we start rolling around, say, we need 3 more cops, we have a little problem with that anyway. So it's a lot to think about.
I think what staff is presenting to you is, don't think this is going to be your run-of-the-mill average Noka Lofts that comes in here and sails smoothly through and they may not have, Miles, so, but sails smoothly through the process and doesn't have any issues and goes to build and is up and people are living in it. We're presenting to you the realistic challenges that we are gonna face and that potentially you might be interested in granting a pilot and it gets to the planning commission, I'm pointing at Kate, I'm sorry. It gets to the planning commission and we can't make it go. We don't want you to be surprised if at some point
No, but
along
what
in
harm
this
is done by
process.
that is what I'm trying to get to.
Is what?
What harm is done by that?
None. Yeah.
None.
Can I
give
jump
them
in too?
a-
And I just wanna say, just cause it was brought up, by no means, the planning department has always strived to be totally apolitical and neutral on these issues. If the board says we.
But
don't-
Miles, your job is not to be neutral. I know that you appreciate that. Your job is to advise us so that we can make the best decisions.
Well, I'm
We
advising.
don't want you to be neutral. We
I'm a-
want you to have an opinion and we want you to use your knowledge and
Expertise.
expertise that we don't have.
I understand, but I'm advising you that there's challenges to this development. But if the board was to say, as Karen and Lizzie are saying, housing is a priority for us, and we are willing to overlook those challenges, at least then, you have made an informed decision. Which is my whole point today, is to give you information so you can make an informed decision. What I can't do, and I think we've already talked about, is say, go ahead with a pilot. But what I also don't want that to be taken as, is the planning department saying, we don't like this project. Cause it's not about what we like and don't like. If the board wants to move forward with recommending a pilot and us moving forward, we will absolutely work to that end as hard as possible.
Other questions, thoughts? Kate?
Well, could we just get a financial analysis from the assessor or assessing department? Like, if
Yes.
nothing changes on this property versus this project versus like
We can certainly do
a
that.
typical commercial development that were to go on this
Yeah,
property. That's,
We can certainly do that.
number-wise, that's sort of what I'm interested in. And I'm also thinking like, all right, does one property stimulate growth of others? So yes, you're taking on some burden in one, but then it's sort of reciprocally comes back by spurring.
Spin-off benefit.
That, yeah, thank you. I was trying to think of the term from the meeting the other night, yeah.
How close to that development that we give to DeWitt give to Bath?
425?
Yeah, 425, is that in that area?
it's all around it.
Yeah.
Well, so then,
it's right next door.
why is he
Completely
here
around.
then?
Excuse
We
me?
should be in DeWitt Township, talking to them.
Well, this is actually
This
East
is
Lansing.
It's East
Township.
Lansing. This
Huh?
is,
We run the 425.
We run the 425, but we don't,
Just to be clear, so there are many 425s in that area. This is not in a 425.
No.
This is just
That
back
one
township.
part, that parcel.
And
This
the
is-
one it's near is the East Lansing one.
It is.
Yeah.
North
Where we
of
have
this is
put our
East
land
Lansing,
out.
425.
okay,
They actually pay their taxes to us, not to East Lansing.
Yep.
oh,
It is
Um,
confusing.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Rick.
I'm still fairly in the dark about the quote 4 to 8%. Can you elucidate on that?
Yeah, so, how the pilot works in practice, so it would be a project-specific ordinance that is passed by this board that would spell out the terms, it would spell out the length, it would spell out the rate. Mishta has a template ordinance that they require us to use, so it would, hopefully wouldn't be too much of an administrative burden, because we have to use their template, in order for them to accept it. So there's that piece, the 4 to 8%, how that's calculated. So we take our gross revenue, so the rents that the tenants are paying, and then we subtract utility costs. So we, Spire Development, the owner, we would be paying water and sewer for the residents. So that expense is lessed out. That's the shelter rent. So that's an important term, shelter rent. That's the gross rent minus our utility expenses. We would be paying 4 to 8% of the shelter rent. And so, in our other projects, like I said, that tends to be around $30,000, and we can do a more thorough analysis. And again, the purpose was just to, it was stated before, just to see if there's an interest in this for the future economic growth that this could spur, extending utilities, extending road, is this something that interests you? So we didn't, we didn't prepare an analysis because we didn't know if it would be dead in the water. upon arrival. And so if there's interest in it, we can prepare that analysis and provide it before the next trustee meeting. But again, we've got a number of these in Michigan, and they tend to be around $30,000, and that would be a net increase in
And that's
realized
with
tax
full
revenue.
occupancy, right?
Correct, yes, yeah. And but to that point, so if, we could never develop it if it was gonna operate 30%, and the market study showed that. These are very low-risk developments, because we have to go through the state process, we have to document demand, private investors are involved, they're all over these details. But, so that shelter rent is tied to the actual collected rent. So in theory, say we were 20% occupied, well, we're only providing services for 20% of those, for those people that are there, and that revenue would be tied to that amount. Does that make sense? That's not going to happen, it'll be fully occupied.
And what do you pay in the year or two before you have it occupied, while you're building it and whatnot?
While it's being built, until it gets reassessed and the pilot kicks in, it's just whatever the property
The regular
taxes are.
tax,
Also, just to talk a little bit about the timeline for this, we could apply as soon as this April. If we were to do that, the reality is we wouldn't actually start construction until later this fall. It's a very long process, so there's no false hope given. We've done a ton of these. We've done over 46 of these across the country, and this is just, you have to start somewhere, and so this is just the first conversation.
The 4 to 6%, why not 10%?
It could be that. There's a certain amount the property can support. It's not these properties, it's not a necessarily tax break. When we submit these, we have to subscribe to very tight income ratios. There's underwriting guideline that's the state requires us to follow. So we can't submit something and just be collecting boatloads of money. We have to be within a very specific debt coverage ratio. So if there's too high a rate, the project can't operate. Then we're back in the original predicament of it can't support the taxes. So that's why there's that range of what can the project support. There's also other competitive aspects to this. We are going to pay the cost of utility extension and road extension. That's very expensive. We are going to be requesting more financial resources from the state in order to do that. That makes the project less competitive. So what some towns will do, if this is an important project, is they'll offer a lower rate because that allows us to reduce the state requirement. It makes the project more competitive. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So some towns, as I mentioned, extremely competitive process. Towns will come in at 3% pilot because they want the project so badly. And they recognize the further development it's going to spur. It serves an identified need for affordable housing. It's serving those rent-burdened households. And so they will go super low in order to make it more competitive and see it through. But if the concern is the actual tax revenue that's pulled in, then we can see how high of a rate we can support. I would need to run the math, and we would never submit something that we can't deliver on. And so that analysis would be, and what I'm hearing, that would be the next step of seeing what that analysis would look like. And we could provide that over the next week. It doesn't take long.
I would like to offer as well, like maybe I've done a disservice this evening in not providing that additional data to you, but I thought it was more important this evening for you to hear from the developer. Thank you for being here tonight. To see if there was interest in this project. What Miles and I did was offer you some of the challenges in the built environment, and maybe that wasn't fair without having some of the economical data from the assessor or from other resources. But having not done this and gone through this myself or with a board, I looked back to Hawks Ridge and was hoping to provide some historical information, because ultimately, if you came tonight and said absolutely not, we didn't put the effort into bringing you information that wasn't needed tonight. So what I provided to you in my memo was some generalities from MISTA in order to, or the state HUD. I'm sorry, I think it was MISTA. Generalities about the project. So, that's where the 4 to 8% comes in. That's where the 15 to 50 years comes in, because it can be what this township wants it if you want it. And so tonight was, are you interested in the project? Are you interested in pursuing this? The next step would be can we bring you that data and help you make an informed decision about what those numbers should be or could be, with the realization of the project and some of the challenges it might face.
It appears prima facie that Hawks Ridge is, one of their buildings is about the same size as this. So that data might be very helpful. That's, I certainly can't speak for everybody, but I think we're all interested in affordable housing for, for our people. But, you just have to look at, we need tax revenue. We're kind of hurting. And if it's gonna cost us more than than it's morally worth.
I think I'd also like the thoughts of the police and fire chief about this as well. I do think Sherry brought up at a good point of what the other
Other costs.
may be, just in their opinion.
Okay.
When folks have a pilot, do they pay the police and fire millage at full rate? Is it at the 4 to 8% rate? So everything.
I get basically from Hawks Ridge, a check in a form that tells me what they're paying me. That's it. That's all I get.
It's not
And then
broken down by millage, it's just,
It gets broken down by millage once I send it to the county.
Are
They
they
break it
pilot?
down and send it back to me.
They are a pilot.
Okay,
Yeah.
I missed that.
But I don't know their contract, so I don't know how many years
Right.
it's for, I don't know the rate they're
Rate, yeah,
paying, I
okay.
have none of that
Could
information.
we find that out? Just
I have no
That's-
idea.
We
have
can,
it
we,
here. voted
We
on
have it, it's
Yeah.
voted.
I have it, I have the
Yeah.
file in my office.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
to dig
interesting
in
just to
through my
see
files and
what-
the former superintendent's
What
files.
is- And you could use that amount of money that we get from that, and what does that cost us for the number of, look what we have for police now compared to 25 years ago.
Yeah, but it's totally different because the geographic
Well-
of this is,
Right,
they gotta go all
all
the
the
way down and
way.
around.
They may do what they do.
Well, and I
Because it's
think
a dead
part of
end.
Hawks Ridge is senior and part of it is
That's
low,
correct.
isn't
That's
it?
correct.
there's one building.
There's
I think
one
that's
building
senior.
or two buildings that are
Farthest,
just for
farthest to the
seniors.
east, I think, is,
Yes. I think that's
So
senior housing.
that's divided over there.
well, I have to say, my own self, that I'm not disinterested in this, but we have to have a lot more information.
Definitely.
Is your hope to move forward by April? Because that does put us in a very
Ideally,
tight window.
Yeah, of course. That would be ideal. We can get answers on this over the next week in preparation for the next trustee meeting, and that would be with specifics.
If
we would
it's
be
not
happy.
this April, is it next April, or is there a second?
It would be October.
October.
The April
The
round
fall.
is the more competitive, or the less competitive
Got it.
round. There's more resources to go around in April for these projects, so.
So you'd prefer we make a decision quickly?
Ideally, yes. I do also understand it's a quick turnaround. And we're getting into the fundamentals of what's difficult about affordable housing of, there's tight deadlines that we have to hit, but then there's also the practical.
Is there a
side.
specific date in April?
April 1st.
Just like all
So
grants,
our next
everything is
meeting,
April
we have
1st.
to make a decision, so we need all the information.
Did
to
you,
look at.
when you came tonight, did you anticipate, or did you hope for us making a decision?
My understanding was it was just this, an introduction for then the next trustee meeting to vote on it.
I was just curious.
I think we told them it was on discussion and not
Yes,
action. right?
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, you can hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miles, what is the formula for parking and to each unit?
I
This
know
is
it.
one of those,
It might be
this
variance
is
that
one
we're
of those
gonna be
sites,
asking
he
for.
probably has it, you probably have a formula that,
Yeah.
but there is, we haven't done a pre-application.
Yeah, well, I
So
just
we've had
noticed there
no
was,
zoning review of this, but
there's
there
only
is-
60 places,
Yep, there's standards that we would review as far as zoning on what is required.
so you're gonna have two for each car,
We would communicate
or
that
each
with
unit.
the
And you said this would probably go through ZBA?
Well, it sounds like there's already some
Yes.
concern that they need variances.
Well,
Like in just high level in terms of review time, like let's say the pilot goes through or at least is recommended that we, move forward with the review process. Our review timeline for something like this, pilot or no pilot, let's just say it's a market rate apartment complex for 45 units, special use permitted, I mean, work 3 to 5 months, something like that.
But all you need for April is the pilot to put into the application, right?
Yeah, we get extra points for site plan approval, but if we can't get that, then.
There is no way in hell you're getting site
Yeah.
plan approval before April first.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't think we could actually physically do it.
If you would've come in September.
Yep, understood.
Okay, that's helpful, thanks, Miles. Anything else? So is there anyone who's just like, guys, big X, this is a no, we don't wanna move it forward?
Say that again?
Is there anyone who is saying, I'm out, we shouldn't do this?
I'm close because of the low ground and the footprint, same as the other issue we had with the development on Webster Road, that we are low, and we have to be very careful of the footprint of not only the sewage that they produce and take it away, that's okay, but the footprint of the runoff into, this was swampland almost.
Oh,
It's
it
very
was.
low, it was all
Well,
green, grass growing.
But that's the builder's
Do-
issue.
should
it's
we
not
take a
ours.
No, it is ours because it's pollution into the land.
action.
The runoff it isn't going into the Detroit River and out into the Great Lakes.
And it's right beside the Raymond-Chandler drain, is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it would go into.
But you're not we shouldn't consider more information about this.
But we definitely need more information, but agriculturally also, I'm worried.
So you're not
That's-
saying no?
I won't scream no,
You're
but
saying
I'm,
there's a chance.
but I'm worried about the agricultural input of this footprint. That's my
Okay.
field.
Would we be opposed to asking Karen to provide us the information before the next packet so that we could review it and then we'd put it on the agenda for action in the next packet?
And Hawks Ridge, the sooner we can understand
Should we
the
have-
economics of that,
So what I would do is ask the assessor, in addition to the police and fire chiefs, and put some parameters. We'd probably meet and talk about this to provide you with additional data, but we would begin working on this.
Perhaps
tomorrow.
somebody agricultural influencer we have
Well,
involved.
I would say to you that is not in my parameters, that's gonna be in the planning commission's parameter. That's their job,
It will be worked through, just not
Correct.
at your particular level.
correct.
So-
Okay, so I'm not hearing any opposition to getting more information, putting it as an item for action on the March
17th.
17th.
meeting?
Yeah.
Okay,
When
is
do
that-
we notice people about it? Because if this generates a whole hoopla, 6
Isn't that
months
part
from
of your
now-
process?
Well, I'm just thinking, the same point, if this generates a whole bunch of hoopla 6 months from now after they've put in time and effort and we put in time and effort and then we just kill it,
Well, that's,
could we have saved ourselves that 6 months of time?
Yeah,
That's
I'm
a-
just torn by this time and effort question. I think it's real, but it's also like the cost of doing business.
it's the
Okay.
it's the cost of doing business.
I mean,
sure you went through
I'm
that
not saying
before.
it shouldn't be considered.
I mean, that's a
I'm
fair
actually
point, but-
internally torn by it. Like, we don't have a lot of money to do the cost of doing business, but also we won't get more revenue unless we invest in the cost of doing business. It's a
I mean, and I
catch-22.
suppose that's something that you just understand is the cost of doing business, is that sometimes you get far in and then it gets not approved in those final steps.
Like a bolt factory.
Cause we did have that one.
Yeah,
That
like a
was
bolt
fully
factory.
approved.
Yeah, that's
If I remember.
But
It
I feel the burn of the time and energy put into that, yes.
Well,
Okay,
because we had that
yes,
project on
point well
Virginia
taken.
Road behind Hawks Ridge that was ready to be built.
What do you mean?
So not
the
then, we don't
architectural-
notice
The
then.
addition to
That's the
Hawks
due
Ridge?
diligence of the residents to know what's happening at these meetings.
It's supposed to be built for construction.
I think it is a bit, probably feels like a bit cart before the horse kind of a thing. It is important to understand that, you know, the township is not committing itself to approval of this project just because you are indicating, yeah, we probably could be supportive or at least supportive of them pursuing the opportunity to see if there are resources available so that they can then also go through the process with Miles and you and our friend here. And it's gonna take a while and they're still gonna have to go through that. And I do see, I mean, you're hearing some of the cautions and the questions where it certainly could reach some points of, I'm not really sure. And I think that's, at the end of the day, that's the developer's decision about, is that a dice set that we are willing to roll? And I think it is inherent in this conversation that you're not voting specifically of a promise to approve the whole thing, regardless of what it will be or how it might go. What you're being asked to consider and will be asked to vote on in a couple of weeks is whether you would be supportive of a pilot in that endeavor if it were to go forward. So the public will still continue to have plenty of opportunities for conversation. As Miles noted, there'll be plenty of notices about potential opportunities before the planning commission. I suspect you will have a full vote for a while on that, just as we did with the other project last year and the year before.
The public hearing.
And the board remains, of course, available and able to tell people, we had an interesting presentation with, something, we're soliciting input. These are available for people to watch and you can share.
Yeah, and they could watch the
remind them.
video.
It just feels like there's 1,000 ways this thing could fall apart. Do we raise the flag now or wait until it gets closer? I think it's a legitimate question. I don't know the answer, but
I
Well,
think we just need more information.
yeah. Okay, that feels good. Karen, you feel like you've got,
I do. Sean and I and Miles
Direction.
and probably Beth and the police and fire chief will all work together and to bring you back additional information prior to the meeting.
yeah, I mean, if you could
we'll
get
be
a memo
sending-
and the information and the text
Sending
stuff
information
prior.
out prior and then including it also in the board packet.
Yeah.
So it's available publicly, but there will be work pre-March 16th to give you the information to,
But then like board members could call you or Miles if they wanted to dig into something very particular before the board meeting.
yes.
and
Okay, thank you.
you, we're not voting tonight, we're just getting a general feel of this. What do you
Correct.
think?
I think it's interesting. I have not been part of one of these, and I think it's interesting, and I'm excited to go through the process.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Sean.
That brings us to 14A-B, Public Art Committee, Art to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Bath School bombing, and we have a memo from Trustee Hagerman.
I prepared this memo to get the process started of forming this public art committee. We set aside $25,000 in the budget this year to go towards supporting this project. And the supervisor applied for a grant, and I think he can share the results of that.
Thanks, I'm so glad it's not a no, because you'd really be setting me up there. I went to the Michigan Arts Council meeting last week where they announced the grant winners. We are among the grant winners. We did not get the full 20,000, but we got 16,000, which feels pretty darn good.
Really?
Most projects received a reduction.
Congrats.
So that feels really good. So now that would give us, what, 25 plus 16 is? Thank you.
$41,000.
To work from, I told Kate there's another grant that we should look at from the Community Foundation in April to get us perhaps even more.
Yeah, so I put this memo together just because I'm really nervous on time. I'm not an artist in any way, shape, or form. However, I do know art takes some time. And so I want to make sure that we end up with the best product, final product that we can for the money that we've invested in it, and I know that that's going to take some time. So I would like to propose that we do whatever we need to do to get this ball rolling, to form this committee, to start going through this process. I outlined some responsibilities that the committee will undertake throughout this process. So like, once we get up and running, I think the first order of business would be that kind of the request for proposals type process where we publish some guidelines of this is what we're looking for, please submit your application.
RFPs, yeah.
Reviewing the applications, making some final selections. Perhaps there's enough money that we could do more than one. I'm not really sure what art costs either. So it'll be kind of a learning process for all of us. But I do think that it's imperative that we get this going, because the one thing that will not change is the ultimate deadline, which is going to be our centennial ceremony on May 15th, 2027. That date is locked in. So the Bath School Museum Committee has already started the process of planning our events for that day and the weeks and actually months leading up to it. There are going to be a variety of activities in the community and in the region leading up to events on May 15th, and then there will be a candlelight vigil on the 18th, the following Tuesday. So that's the one date that we don't have any control over. So given the fact that we've had some difficulty getting people to join committees, I'm especially nervous about getting this started, so I don't think we should wait any longer. I just kind of sketched out a rough timeline of some target dates for how things should proceed. But again, that's just a rough estimate. I'd like to get some community involvement and get the applications going so that we can get started with this.
If I may, before. I am willing to sit to this group as the fiduciary to be able to execute the RFPs and any contractual agreements. So I'm happy to do that. So hopefully that takes one person. I know I'm part of your planning group for the other as well, so I'm happy to put that time in to make this come to fruition.
You're saying you'd staff the committee?
I would.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
If it's possible, I would volunteer to help.
I would too.
I've already taken the liberty of contacting a half a dozen sculptors
Oh, awesome.
all over the United States.
Wow.
I have some thoughts that we could maybe make some adjustments before we vote. I'm assuming you want to vote on this next meeting.
Yeah,
Can we call it something else
I don't care.
instead of the Public Art Committee?
not
Because we
calling
did
it
do
the-
away
Yeah,
with
we
the
did
public.
that.
Not calling
We
it
did
a
away with
name
it.
that we can't remember the name of the committee. That's my only request.
Yeah, I
Art
think we could
programming
come up
is off
with,
the table.
you know, a very specific name, and I think we should name it as an ad hoc committee in
Yes.
here.
Memorial group.
Because it follows the plan that we've just laid out, is my point. I think we should have some recommended types of people for membership on here. Maybe not guidelines like must be, but, you know, having an artist on would be helpful, and maybe an art teacher from Bath Communities, like some specific folks that we'd want to reach out to. You may want to put a number on how many you think would be appropriate. And then I think one of the things to add to the responsibilities is site selection. Because I do think, you know, maybe the library wants to have a mural in one of their internal walls or something like that. You know, maybe we want something here on our grounds aside from, I imagine we'd want something down in the park. But again, if we could get more than one piece with the additional funds, it feels
Yeah,
more impactful
absolutely.
to have it elsewhere. So site selection might be a piece. And then I do think the board needs to help again in recruiting people, like we're doing for the
Yeah,
other.
so this would be an ad hoc committee of the board as opposed to a staff-led advisory committee.
That's how I would read. Is
That's
that
how
what
I
you were
would-
thinking?
That's exactly what I was thinking too. I feel like it has some very specific beginning, ending, and tasks along the way. So maybe people who are uncertain about our new committee structure could dip their toes in the water with this. And if they found it to be a good experience working with the township, then they could maybe evolve that into something more long-term.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I also should tell the board that as the person who sort of came up with this idea for the budget, I asked Kate if she would consider chairing this, so we probably should put in the memo, Kate, that you've agreed to that, and
Okay.
that would be part of the vote, is to create the ad hoc committee until this time with you as chair, this many members,
Okay.
and
So
Karen
I
as
will
staff.
update my draft and then send it to you guys, and you can add the probably more technical stuff that I have left out.
Is there anything else, Karen, you think should be in here that we would like formally vote on to create the?
I would like a little time with it. I knew we were gonna have this discussion, so I knew there would be several recommendations, so,
There's a, maybe it was in that township, the MTA, the hell do they call the magazine?
focus.
Thank you, Township Focus, yes. I think in that article that we looked at during the committee, there was like these when you form a committee, you should check these 10 boxes or something that might be helpful to look at.
Yeah.
Because I remember one was like, do they have financial authority? And normally our answer would be no, but do we want
like these contracts for artists to then make their way up to the board, or do we want to trust the committee
Oh,
with
the
that and
committee
then to
to
work through
execute
staff? I don't know, we don't usually do that, but maybe this is in a place, especially with Karen sitting there, where we could try that out, a little bit more power.
Okay.
Yeah, if the ad hoc committee was made up of the board, then,
Well, we're thinking of beyond the board, but if board members were there, that would certainly help.
yeah. I mean, and also with Karen
Yeah,
there too.
I mean, Karen would certainly ensure the fiduciary responsibility, but if there was more board members than even just Kate, we just couldn't have 4.
I was at Meyer yesterday and they have a huge blown up photo of the Bath School bombing on the wall. I didn't even know that. Everybody see that?
No.
At the-
Which
at the
Meyer?
Bath- At the Bath Meyer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's big.
All right. I think that's it.
Any other feedback?
Thank you, Kate.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. All right, that brings us to 14 large B items for action. We have a power plan grant application from the superintendent.
Thank you. The microphone. You do have a resolution. I am hoping for action tonight. I hope this is a win-win situation. I saw the power plan grant come available. We have received several of these in the past. They are small. They are $5,000. And I thought of our new friend, K-9 Officer Indy, and thought of the things that might make him safer and protect our investment into him, as well as protect his partner, Officer Royce Cook, and reduce our liability, which is an important thing as well. So what I have proposed to you tonight is a package that I would submit to Power Plan with Chief Mardigan, Officer Cook, and even though he wasn't listed in the grant writing team, K-9 Officer Indy, he'll put his paw to this, I hope, is a GPS tracking system, thermal imaging camera, and then a ballistic protection. I did see recently that he did receive, I think, a donation or a purchase of a ballistic protection vest, but I still think it's very important that he have the proper attire and tools available to make him the most useful in protecting our community and the communities that surround us. And I'm hoping that you'll support our application to Power Plan.
Well, and that would always stay with the department if we
Correct.
change dogs, so.
Correct,
that's,
it would.
They're amazingly helpful
we vote on
and
that?
save their lives.
This is an item for action.
It is an
So
item.
she's looking for
I make a
approval.
motion,
Yeah.
I make a motion that we accept that.
Second.
Approve the power plan
Yes.
application
Yep.
plan.
Grant application, yep.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the power plan grant application plan
Thank
from
you.
the superintendent, allowing her to submit by the deadline.
Correct.
Other questions, thoughts, concerns?
You will, of course, if we receive this, it will be brought back to you for approval of accepting the grant.
Formally, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. If the deputy clerk is ready,
I am ready, are you?
I am born ready.
Trustee Kellerman,
Yes.
Trustee Kotke,
Yes.
Treasurer Wilson,
Yes.
Supervisor Fewins-Bliss,
Yes.
Trustee Rosekrans,
Yes,
Trustee Hagerman.
Yes.
I thought you were gonna ask me first. I was ready.
Nope. Yeah.
Rude.
With
All right, that carries.
Mr. Supervisor, I'm sorry to be a pause in your process, but as I was further reviewing the materials, and I'm sorry I didn't mention this earlier, I did observe that we need to make a minor correction to one of the ordinances that you approved today. The effective date language, we had discussed collectively among legal and staff an update, and I think we just didn't get quite the right one in there. So your ordinance number 47.02, which was your action item under B, lowercase b, I would request a motion to reconsider that approval from one of you who voted yes on it, which was everybody but Trustee Rosekrans, so that we can make the correction with a motion to amend at tonight's meeting.
And the amendment is to,
Very simple, on the second page of the document, the effective date, which is section 5, we're going to strike the language that says unless referendum procedures are initiated under MCL 125.3402. And I can show the deputy clerk my edit for her purposes, or their office. And in case anybody needs an explanation, the primary reason behind this is, I think all of you know, zoning ordinances and how they are amended and how long before they can become effective is governed in part by the public's right to a referendum on zoning ordinances themselves, which is the language you see referenced here, but your ordinance 47.02 is not a zoning ordinance, so that language is appropriate in the other one that you approved. For a standard public health, safety, and welfare ordinance, you have a 30 days from publication, and there is no reference to referendum. So, just a typographical scrivener's issue that we discussed and we did not catch at your earlier vote. I apologize.
And you just came up with that. That's good.
Well, we discussed it last week, and David and I both went, oh, wait. So again, if it's helpful, I would be looking for a motion to reconsider the board's approval of the amendment to Chapter 30, Article 2, Ordinance Number 47.02.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
You don't have to repeat it.
I'll second.
All right, then we have a motion and a second to,
Was there a second? I didn't hear the second.
there is a second,
Oh,
to
thanks.
approve
Jennifer.
the changes to the amendment to Chapter 30, Article 2, Ordinance Number
Your first action
47.02.
is just the motion to reconsider. I would look for an approval of that motion so that we can then enter a new motion on the subject. I apologize for confusion.
Are we gonna do that right now?
We will have two motions, the first one that's on the table,
There you go.
and then I will walk through the next part.
And we're okay to add this at this point in the agenda, there's
Yep.
nothing
The
preventing us.
Open Meetings Act does not require agendas in the first place. You certainly could take a vote to suspend your rules regarding the approval of the agenda. But again, no violation or sanction occurs if you breach your own rules at this point.
Okay. So does everyone understand the motion? Motion is to reconsider.
I couldn't hear her. I'm sorry.
To reconsider, to allow reconsideration of the vote we've already taken.
But
And
it
then we will
passed.
have a second to reconsider,
To fix it.
to fix
To
it,
fix
with
it,
the, with the
yeah.
fix.
So in essence, this first motion to reconsider is opening the gate for us to come back in and talk about the ordinance amendment and make that adjustment that I mentioned. So first motion is the, will you please reconsider at all? Second action is, what are we doing about that amendment?
Excuse me.
So we have a motion and a second on that. Is there any discussion? Are you ready?
I'm ready for Lizzie to give me her emotions. Not right now.
Got you.
You can give it to me in
I
writing.
gotcha. Gotcha.
But
Yes,
you ready to
same
call the roll
process,
call?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Roll call.
Okay. Supervisor Fewins-Bliss?
Yes.
Treasurer Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Kotke?
Yes.
Trustee Kellerman?
Yes.
Trustee Hagerman?
Yes.
Trustee Rosekrans?
Yes.
All right, so that motion carries. So then, secondarily, we need to,
Motion to approve the amendment to Chapter 30, Article 2, Ordinance Number 47.02, as amended as follows, to strike the clause, unless referendum procedures are initiated under MCL 125.3402 under Section 5.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jen.
I'll
I want to
second.
hear it back.
we have a motion and a second. Do we need to hear the reading of the motion again?
No. No.
Do folks understand?
Sure.
All right, other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Treasurer Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Kotke?
Yes.
Trustee Kellerman?
Yes.
Trustee Hagerman?
Yes.
Trustee Rosekrans?
Yeah,
Supervisor Fewins-Bliss?
Yes.
I thank you very much, Board, and I will work with the clerk's office to make assistance for the minutes.
Thank you. All right, so that passes. So that leads us to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did earlier this evening provide you with some updates of things that are happening in the township, which includes that our accountants are on site this week to help us prepare for the audit. We learned some very valuable information today that will help us make some additional changes to the 2027 budget. We always are excited to learn more and make changes to make sure we're adhering to best practices in this township. So we will share those with you when we get to that point, but it is really about our capital assets. So I appreciate our accountants always being ready to help us do things for the better on behalf of our residents. So we'll continue through that process and give you an update as we move through that. Our audit is scheduled for a time in May. So we will keep you posted on that as well, and that is with Siegfried Crandall. The deputy superintendent and I, as well as the treasurer, will begin working on requests for proposals. This was the last year of our contract with Siegfried Crandall, but putting out a request for proposals, they can certainly apply again to be our auditors, but it is customary that we make some changes with the firm that we use, and that has occurred in the past as well. So we generally work with Maynard Costerison as our accounting team and then work with another group as our auditors. So we will have that opportunity, and that will come before this board to interview those parties and to make a decision as we move forward. We are also working on, as I mentioned, an RFP for a team to come in, a consultant to come in and do our facilities and grounds assessment to see how our buildings are doing structurally, as far as maintenance, the room that we have for staff to do their business, and if those buildings are serving us now and into the future, and what modifications we may make. So we're excited for that process to unfold. We are also looking at hiring in the township. As you're aware, I think it's more of not a front office assistant, but more of an HR position. But Samantha, left us to go be the deputy clerk in DeWitt Township, and we are conducting interviews. I think we'll continue to conduct interviews into the future, and we are working with Robert Half and Associates to do some recruitment for that position. We have not found the candidate yet that suits that position to add to our team, so we'll continue in that manner. As well, the search for an assessor, I've reached out to a consulting firm to work on. As you're aware, the assessor has offered her retirement, and so we will begin looking at hiring for that position as well, so that we are in a good place when she is able to go and retire. So there are many things that are occurring. Chandler Road is occurring almost on a daily basis. It looks like Miles left us to go be with his family, but we are working on easements almost on a daily basis. There is some type of decision or talk that needs to occur in reference to the Chandler Road construction project. He's back. I was talking about Chandler Road. So we were working on the easements. We continue to work on the plans. They held the pre-bid meeting last week up at the Road Commission. I haven't received an update on that, but I know that those bids will be coming in fairly soon. So I'll keep you apprised as that project moves forward. As well, I will be bringing road contracts, not contracts, but the road projects that we are interested in doing this year. They'll be putting those out to bid. And getting prices back on that, so those contracts will come to you as well for approval within our budget process, and get those improvements going. Last Tuesday, the treasurer and I were able to join the Planning Commission for a very interesting discussion, and I appreciate the Planning Commission's time and energy on that. But we were able to participate in a conversation about economic development in this community as part of their comprehensive plan progress, and it was a fascinating discussion. I'll probably send a link out to the video so that you can all watch that. Yeah, it was a very interesting discussion, and some things came out of it that it's funny, as much as you think you have an eye on where this community is going, sometimes somebody brings up something and you're just, wow, I never thought of that way. So I think one of those ideas came out about different areas of our township and how we can look at them differently, just as you looked at Tower Avenue tonight and thought about what it could be. I think some of those discussions are happening with Planning Commission and other residents in our area, that what can this township be and what could it look like if all, bets were off and we could have it be whatever we want it to be. So it's always interesting. I guess we can all be surprised even after a bit of time of working here and thinking about things in the way that they've always been. So I feel like the township is making some really great progress. Staff is busy. It is a time of year where taxes are coming in, sewer bills are being paid, and we're dealing with a lot of residents. Most of those people are happy. They want to engage and ask questions about assessment notices. I know those went out this week or last week, and people are contacting us. And sometimes the nice part is that they call frustrated. They might be a bit on the angry side, and most of the time they end the phone call with having been educated and finding out some information. They still may not be happy, but I think we leave them better than we found them. So I'm really proud of the staff and their customer service skills. And how they go above and beyond to make sure people are getting the information that they need to live, good, productive lives. And no one likes paying taxes, but I think in the end, they see the value in what we do, especially police and fire. That's always a popular area, roads as well. So I think every touch point with our residents, it does leave them better, even if they're still frustrated with us. At least they've had a conversation with a person and received care and concern about their issue. So I'm very proud of our staff each and every day for the work they do on behalf of us. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to share them or share answers to them. You will over the coming month. I'm preparing myself for a medical leave. And I will keep you apprised of that as we move forward. Right now I'm reviewing things with the deputy superintendent and office staff to see the touch points that will be affected by my absence, and to bring you a good plan so that this township's in good hands while I'm gone. So I'll continue that work and keep you apprised of that as we move forward.
I think there was one other
Oh,
item.
I'm so sorry, yes.
Well, I'm not the superintendent,
Well,
but
you're
I'm
not, but-
reserving a moment.
But yeah, I would like Lizzie to speak. We have some good news in terms of the road patrol contract. There were several developments over this weekend and today, so I would like her to share those with you so we can be prepared for future action.
Yeah, just wanted to be the first to tell you, if you haven't already heard, the road patrol did ratify a tentative agreement with us. So the parties had negotiated that. Put a lot of work back and forth trying to balance the interests. They ratified that. Unfortunately, their rep was, well, not unfortunately, it was good that he was on vacation, but I didn't know that they ratified it until today when he returned from vacation. So we did not have the material in time to put it in front of you and allow you to have time to digest it. So in discussion with the superintendent, our intent would be that my office will prepare sort of a high-level executive summary of the document. We will still provide the document to you. I'm not trying to hide it from you at all. But I know sometimes the ins and outs of that are a little messy to read. We'll provide that to you via email in advance. So it's not going to be, the summary itself will not be in your packet. I'm going to try to get material out to you prior to that. The contract changes in the form of a tentative agreement will be in your packet. In case you have not seen that before, that will not look like the entire collective bargaining agreement. It will be a document that says tentative agreement at the top. It will have highlighted issues, what is being changed in the document. In most cases, showing the exact changes. So, if it said one thing before and we don't like that anymore, we've stricken it. Unless it's like a wholesale big change, then I'm not just gonna put in a bunch of paragraphs of stricken language for you. So that's why I provide the executive summary, so that you have the big picture of what am I looking at. And then the intent would be that you are afforded the right under the Open Meetings Act to go into closed session to discuss the strategy behind, do you want to approve that tentative agreement? We will be giving you a recommendation to do so, but you're not obligated. And certainly during that closed session, I can address any questions or concerns that you may have. Ultimately, you will need to make a decision. I would ask for you to make a decision at your next meeting, so that we can get started on any retroactive payment. They've been, their contract's been expired for a little bit now, and we'd like to get back to allowing them those increases that we've negotiated if they are approved. So again, many kudos to your superintendent's office. Both the superintendent and the deputy superintendent dealt with a lot of asks from me for material and information and positions. Same true. We also use the supervisor as a sounding board. So collective effort, really appreciate the opportunity to serve you in this capacity. Have not been afforded that opportunity previously, but you had a lot of big things to change in the last couple years. And so really, I think there has been some value. I think we built some good relationships with that non-supervisory unit that clearly are going to help us as we negotiate now with the command group. We do have a date on the books to sit down with them if we need it, your other bargaining unit. I think there is an intent on the behalf of the same rep who has your lower unit, maybe putting together some material and discussing things via email and seeing if we can't move that one, shepherd that much more quickly, because they don't usually have too many independent issues. So really excited to have process moving in the right direction, and we'll provide you with much more information next time. Thank you for letting me be a quasi-superintendent for a moment. 6 minutes before your board rules required.
That's the most I've ever heard you talk.
That can't be true. That can't be true.
Not during MERS.
No.
All right, anything else, Karen?
No.
Great, thank you. This is the time in the agenda for the second public statement, an opportunity for an additional 3 minutes to talk about other township-related business. If you'd like to address the board, please step up, introduce yourself, and watch your 3 minutes start.
John Wright, Planning Commission. I just want to say that we did have a special meeting for the Planning Commission on last Tuesday, and it was well attended by people from was in regard to the data that we were able to collect for the master plan for economic development. And that data is available from the planner, and Karen has a copy of it if you want to see it. So, but Jennifer and Karen attended that meeting along with some people from the township and the county and the state. And it was very informative. I think we learned a lot about some of the opinions of people in the township and some of the things that are available from the state to assist us with economic development. So if you're at all interested in that, contact myself or Karen or Miles. Thank you.
Thank you.
I regret missing that. I had another thing to go to.
Any other public comment tonight? Welcome.
Tim Volosik, 12376 Upton Road. Hello again. Great meeting, that planning commission meeting. Very, very important. And I believe they're under your purview, is that right? Of the 4 commissions that are required by law, they're under your purview. And I'm still kind of taken back why they don't have reports to you every 2 weeks on what's going on. They talked about some of the most important things about the economic development piece. And this is also connected to the strategic plan, which you have to adopt, because that's what's gonna drive this. If you want what's the term of mid-sized growth, mid-sized housing? I had it written down. Medium density, thank you. Medium density, then that's what's gotta be on one of the goals for the strategic plan. Everyone has to know that you will support that as a strategic plan, and then it becomes one of the tick marks and data points for our progress monitoring, whether we've accomplished our goals or not. Miles brought this guy in here today because he's not sure whether he wants to spend $100,000 and then get turned down by the board, or spend $20,000 as the price of doing business. He doesn't want to go through the planning commission, spend all kinds of money. They're going to grill the hell out of him, excuse my language, right? And every engineering problem will be put through under a fine-tooth comb and a microscope, right? So I don't think you guys got to worry about that. What they're worried about is they doing all of that work, them spending all of that money, and then you walking up here and going like, oh, we don't think because the neighbor was just in here bitching last week and nope, we're not gonna approve that thing. That is brutal. And you guys gotta adopt this strategic plan, figure out where you wanna go, take the action steps, and then monitor it. And that's the point, really, of the strategic plan. Because that's what's gonna keep track of all of this stuff. And you're the ones who should be driving the boat. For sure. Ship. Okay. Oh, man. Organization stuff. We gotta get them to do the recommendations or reports. Citizens, whatever you call them, committees, you know, whoever they are, subcommittees, they gotta also do the recommendations of the reports. That's what their goal is. That's what you want, is their input. Right? So that's really, I think, kind of the key to this is you gotta up your expectations on what other people have to do to report to you. And then two, you also gotta do your homework and read everything in your packets and know what the hell's going on too. Because I'm a little concerned that people are asking questions they shouldn't be. So I
Tim.
came in with tiptoes a couple weeks ago, but I'm gonna get a little more serious now. So
You've bellied up to the bar now.
all right, sorry for one over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Anybody else want to do public comment tonight? All right, then let's do board member comments. Where are we starting tonight? We are starting with Sherry.
Good meeting.
I appreciate everybody's input. I think we did make some good progress tonight. And I'm interested to see what's coming the very next meeting.
My turn. I just want to say today was the last day you could pay your taxes. As of tomorrow, you have to pay them at the county, but they won't accept them yet because they don't have my file yet. So that will be tomorrow afternoon. So if you haven't paid your taxes, you have to pay at the county.
Thanks everyone for coming out. Thanks for your input. Really appreciate the discussion. Do you have anything to say? Good.
I have nothing.
I just had on my notes to thank all of those who attended our planning commission special meeting last week. It was long, but I think that there was a lot of good discussion, and I was really thankful that Karen and Jennifer came because I feel like there's so much happening at the board level and so much happening at the planning commission level right now that overlaps, and I think it's really important that we are communicating and sharing that information because I think one definitely influences the other, and it's the most efficient way to get things done that we're trying to get done around here. So I really look forward to trying to coordinate some more of that type of stuff. I think it's really helpful for everyone to see the different perspectives. And I didn't mention earlier, but I intended to, that the museum committee is in the process of preparing a presentation, kind of outlining all of our plans, so that's in the works, so expect that coming soon. We'd like to come and present what our plans are.
That's great. Thank you. All right. That is our board comment. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion, and did you get the second?
We even had a
Motion
third.
and a second. Is there any discussion?
Who got the second?
Right?
Okay. I heard Jen, so.
Whatever.
So you tell me.
My voice is louder, so just.
Jen.
Okay.
Jen overpowered Ray for the second. Any discussion for adjournment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right. We